We have some exciting news. The Summer of Love begins on Sunday. Falling in love with yourself and others, and a new moon in Gemini finds the path. All that and more. Keep streaming for Namaste Today live. It's Friday. Welcome to Namaste Today Live. I'm your host, Sensei Christopher Oteki, here to support you in your ascension process and finding what I call your serious joy. Joining me, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, X.com, formerly known as Twitter, and also even on Instagram. If you're in our super chat, reach out, say hello, tell us where you are chatting from, if you'd like. And if you want to get a bonus, what your astrology sign is. I'm kind of curious what sort of signs we have. Let's say hi to some people. Carol, it's so nice to see you. Happy Friday. Hello, Jill Louise. Always a pleasure. Erica's on board. It's been a couple hours. Yvonne. Noelle Way, our producer, is here. Experimental Elemental. It's so nice to have you. Alabama. I love that, Alina. Iggy, it's so nice to see you, sir. And we'll do one more. Nancy Rudy from Iowa. A Scorpio from Iowa. Well, friends, we have some interesting energies going on. I don't know if you felt it. Things have really shifted in a big way. Jupiter's entered into Gemini. We also have a new moon in Gemini this week. And on top of that, we have 14 days of the sun conjoining Venus. It is Lovefest Day of the year this week, and that's just the beginning of what I have in store for you. And later tonight on ASTRO Mingle, one of ASTRO Mingle's favorite guests here, the founder of Zen Within Academy, Katie Sutton, is back to give us her impressions on the energies at hand and what she's been channeling about the future. But first, let's take a look at the week's moods and your zodiac weather. From Saturday, June 1st to Friday, June 7th, 2024. Looking ahead at the weekend moodcast. Over the weekend, you are coming into a new integrity in the way you think about yourself and then expanding outward. Let's drill down. On Saturday, it's sunny and sacred. Step 11 means Chiron rules the day, so you're coming into an alignment and really starting to think that this shift is getting real. You are aligning with the mission through the motive, I love myself and I will love myself some more. The moon in Aries will make you feel quite strong, and Venus squares Juno, so it's a turning point when it comes to personal integrity. On Sunday, it's sunny and leaping. Perhaps for joy, step 12 means that Jupiter rules the day. You are expanding your mind into new territories now that you found inner intellectual integrity. Jupiter trines Pluto, which means you're going to have to reconcile loving yourself and protecting that in your mindset. Mercury sextiles Neptune, which means you may be tested on whether or not your manifestations are reaching your spiritual intentions or align with them. And the moon shifts into Taurus, so by the end of the day, you are feeling self-worth. Now moving on to the weekday 5-day moodcast. Over the upcoming week, you will then take that idea of what's possible higher, and then a new moon seals the deal on Thursday. Let's take a look. Starting on Monday, it's sunny and profitable. Step 13 means Uranus rules the day. It's time to think radically. You're choosing new timetables. Mercury enters into Taurus, so now your mind gets a bit sharper. And both the Sun and Venus sextile the North Node, which means you are aligning your thinking with your actions and your behavior. The Moon in Taurus manifests the realization. On Tuesday, it's sunny and escalating. Step 14 means that we're in the second Grandmaster day of Gemini. Mercury rules the day, and you are thinking brilliantly. By the way, happy Lovefest year! The sun is conjoining Venus, which means this is the most loving day of the entire year. The question is, are you going to take this as half full or half empty? Mercury also trines Pluto, which means our mind must incorporate self-love. And then Mercury conjoins Jupiter, which means the mind is then blown with perhaps new ideas. This is probably the most exciting day of the week. On Wednesday, it's sunny and surreal. Step 15 means Venus rules the day. It's a creative resting and receiving day. You are thinking creatively, and you're opening up and embracing the new timeline. And the moon shifts in Gemini for a countdown to the new moon. On Thursday, it's cloudy and beautiful. Step 16 means Neptune rules the day. The key phrase is, I think heavenly, and you are choosing grace. No wonder. It's a new moon in Gemini at step 16, and the new moon is calling for the mental path of least resistance. And then finally on Friday, it's sunny and cozy. Step 17 means that Saturn is ruling the day, and the key phrase is I think decisively. After getting clarity on that new moon yesterday, you're ready to declare the direction that you want to go in daily life. You could say you're committing to a third option. And here to save the day and make it manifest, Mars enters Taurus.
It's serious joy, joy, joy.
I believe what's next is what we came here to do, honestly. I honestly believe this is a divine appointment.
There's no blueprint for what we're about to do.
We're the new generation of evolving our species.
So, we're going to talk about boundaries.
You are much closer to making a dent in social media than you think.
All right, that was our new Unite the Light promo. If you're watching on YouTube, please be kind and do subscribe to our YouTube channel, Serious Joy TV. Hit the bell button so you're notified. And if you don't mind, please like this video right now so the YouTube algorithm will suggest us to other people who enjoy astrology. If you haven't noticed, this day's Namaste Today Live is sponsored by Unite the Light, the Lightworker Summit. We are now offering streaming tickets and access to our Unite the Light social network. So if you purchase a streaming ticket, which is on sale right now, you'll have access to our social network that is specifically for light workers. And I do believe this is a new forum for us to come together, start to work together. I'll be looking for clients. I'll be looking for people that want to advertise on my show in this social network. You want to be a part of this if you want to be a part of what's going on. If you couldn't make it, no worries. You can see, like you saw from those clips, some amazing speeches and presentations were done, and we'd love to see you there. Also, I have to say, you can reach out to me personally in the Unite the Light network as well, because I do accept messages. If you'd like to purchase a streaming ticket and come on down and be a part of our social network, come to unitethelight.love, available immediately. All right, friends. Well, that's all I have to say for this. I think it's time now for our planets and transits. Hello, friends, and welcome to the Summer of Love. That's what's going to be happening here. Let's take a big picture look at the energy. First, let's just talk about the energy. I have to say, what a ride. We're at June 1st here tomorrow. What a ride that first 6 months has been, right? Really intense as far as us facing our karma, us coming into our awareness about, who we are now that we've healed our karma, us actually realizing that we can manifest anything we want. We went from basically the sensory of Pisces to let go to the grand I am of a solar eclipse in Aries. And that was the declaration that we have overcome what our issues are. Then in May, we went right into a very fertile May energy of grand I am manifestation. And we saw that at Unite the Light. I was so proud. The energy there was so incredibly high and vibrant. I could feel, I think, a glimpse of what the new world is going to be. And that brings us now to Gemini. And what, pray tell, will happen in Gemini? Well, in the big picture of things, it seems to me that we have to take the next 3 months coping with the fact that our life has changed. In fact, really, you could say our outer life hasn't changed yet. We haven't carried out to our outer life these inner world changes. That will technically happen in Virgo. In Virgo, you become the story you were born to live. In Virgo, you embody the story you're born to live. But we've just set in motion a new powerful timeline. And so it's my opinion that in Gemini, Cancer, and Leo, we are basically wrapping our mind around it in Gemini, trying to emotionally get comfortable in that situation in Cancer, and then really opening our heart to unlimited possibilities this Leo season. The 40 days of self-love this year is going to be so powerful, by the way. And our team's going to be giving it a little bit of a facelift in our new home at seriousjoy.com. More on that to come soon. But I think the big headline of the week is that the summer of love is here. And this comes from Jupiter moving to Gemini. And I believe, this is my theory, I've said it a few times. Forgive me if I'm repeating myself. We have new people all the time. Welcome, people. So nice to have you here. If you're new, welcome to the fam. We've been getting along for a long time now, 18 years. In essence, Jupiter in Gemini is going to open up our mind. First of all, Jupiter is our belief structure. Our belief structure. And belief structure is step 3. So in the step system that I downloaded from my angels, step 3 is I believe. All right. But Gemini is I think, step 5. And so what's happening is Jupiter is infusing all these beliefs, theories, possibilities, timelines, infusing all these timelines into our mind and introducing us to other ways of thinking about it. Now, we have Jupiter and Gemini every 12 years, frankly. The last time was 2012 to 2013. Jupiter and Gemini was when we processed the aftermath of, what was it called? I can't remember what it's called now. I'm drawing a blank. But when we thought the world was over, the Mayan calendar. That was what I was trying to think. I'm seeing all these wheels in my head and I can't get the word. Yeah, I'll talk about that in a minute. But ultimately, we had the Mayan calendar. We thought the 2012 Mayan calendar was going to end. There's this whole thing of will the world end, all this drama. And then Jupiter goes into Gemini and we're like, I guess not. It was all in our head. And that's kind of what's going to happen here in this first chapter of Jupiter and Gemini. One phase is that you're going to realize is a lot of stuff has just been all in your head, which is hard to imagine, but that's the power of the mind and the power of imagination. So you're going to realize that a lot of the stuff you've been worried about and stuff is actually in your head. Or the other thing that's going to unfold here is we have just faced our karma with ourselves. We have just declared ourselves as a new person. We are manifesting like we've never manifested before. And so as a result, we can't think of ourselves in the same way anymore. We can't talk to ourselves the same way anymore. And despite the last Jupiter and Gemini in 2012, and then Jupiter and Gemini in 2000 to 2001, 12 years before that, we hadn't faced our karma in those times. We didn't have Uranus and Taurus in those times. Pluto hadn't blasted through Capricorn in those times. And so this time, when you think differently, when you have different beliefs about what may be, we have a whole new perspective, a whole new platform to see what life can be because we have eliminated so much shadow, so much doubt, so much fear, a lot of our karma. We've gotten out of our own way. You could say we've never been really in our right mind this entire time. And this may be the first time in our entire lifetimes that we can get in our right mind because the old mind, everything was always wrong. Now we are right. Now, this to me is exciting in itself, right? We need to get out of our thinking. And just as an example, I'm not surprised at the headlines we've had this week, major headlines that have major gravitational pulls to them, right? And that's exactly what I'm expecting to see with Jupiter and Gemini is people off to the races in conversation, action, propaganda, all sorts of rhetoric and tons of information. And one of the hard parts of Jupiter and Gemini is going to actually be to be able to know what truth is. So one of the key factors of Jupiter and Gemini is, does your heart back up that idea? Because with Jupiter and Gemini, ideas are coming out of everywhere. They're coming out of the walls. And good ideas are coming out of the walls too. But it doesn't mean you're meant to do every one of them. I remember in 2012, 2013, when Jupiter's in Gemini, first of all, I downloaded so many ideas, including Serious Joy. I think I downloaded the term Serious Joy in Jupiter and Gemini, pretty sure, when I came up with Serious Joy. So, Serious Joy is less than 12 years old. So phenomenal ideas come. I had a lot of other ideas as well during that time, some of which I'm just now getting to 12 years later. So just because you download an idea doesn't mean it's the right idea for you. You've got to check your heart. Is this for me? Is this for me now? But also, just because you download an idea with Jupiter and Gemini, it doesn't mean now is the time to do it. As I mentioned, even now, this Namaste Today live that I'm doing, talking to people live streaming and live chat, I was trying to do that 12 years ago. They just didn't have the technology. So I had the idea. I didn't have the means. It has been built since then. I'm so grateful that the world is building the internet that I need for my business, right? So Jupiter in Gemini does mean this explosion of ideas. It does mean you can go down the rabbit hole. It does mean that you have to pre-qualify what ideas are important based on the ideas your heart really gravitates to. If your heart gravitates to it, that's the idea you want to continue to go down. If your heart doesn't, stream off. There'll be plenty of other competing ideas. Now, that said, that enough is kind of exciting. But we happen to have a 2-week launch into what I call the Summer of Love. And you may ask, where are you getting this? Well, it's a compound of factors, all right, why I'm calling this the Summer of Love. First of all, the Sun and Venus will begin to conjoin within a 1-degree orb this Sunday at step 12, Gemini. And at that moment, we start to open our hearts and open our minds to other and greater ideas. And so once you start to open your eyes to other ideas, this is where a great idea, probably about yourself, will pop into your head. And the reason why it's probably about yourself is because Jupiter is actually, in the early degrees, goes from 1 to 3 degrees this week. Jupiter is stimulating and expanding what your beliefs about yourself are. So I didn't used to believe I could do that. And I was saying to my Diamond Egg consulting group, a group of ladies that I consult, I was saying that now that I have come into Gemini, which is, by the way, this is the month titled I Think I Am. I Think I Am is sort of the title. I've already realized I have made it to where I want to go. I think I am finally healed. I think I am in my power. I think I am in my, what's the word? Hot zone. Can't remember. I'm on fire. I think I'm really coming along. There's a lot of I think I ams, right? And that's what this first week is about. There's a lot of I'm starting to think that I am much greater than I thought. I was much bigger than I thought. I'm much more powerful than I thought. All this is much more than I thought. This is the mind basically catching up to the spiritual changes you've been making your whole life, but in particular in a very aggressive way since COVID 2020. We've been healing intensely since COVID. So you could argue that your mind is going to wake up to this. But because of other planetary things going on, I suspect this is much better and much bigger than I'm starting to think about myself, because this thinking is really us coming on top of our mountain, our top of our understanding, because we have Saturn in Pisces at step 18. So we have cleared and taken responsibility for our karma with others, for our karma with life. We've taken responsibility for our behaviors and actions and misdeeds and sins and all these things. So when we say, I think I am, we are adding into that I am the greatest spiritual version of us we have ever been. Also, with Pluto having gone through Capricorn, when I say I think I am, I have taken back my power. I understand where my power is. So this time when I say I am, I really am coming into power like I never had before. Also, this time when I say I think I am, I also feel my worth because Jupiter has gone through Taurus. I just spent a year realizing what my value is. So my point is, if you're not getting it, is that this particular I think I am and this particular Summer of Love, I believe we are going to say, I think I love myself. And that came up in today's meeting. I think I love myself. I think I do. That's really the key phrase. And going through the month, God Universe has us really focus on this. I think I love myself. We have a trine that goes from Mercury to Pluto, which is basically reinforcing I think I love myself. We have a variety of things that trine into Pluto at 1 degree this month that reinforces this I think I love myself. And, I think I love myself is sort of like I think I can. Remember the old little engine that could up the hill? I think I can. I think I can. I think we can replace that with I think I love myself. I think I love myself. I think I love myself. And of course, we'll get to I feel I know. I feel and I know at some point. So I believe that in the first 2 weeks of June, we are going to fall in love with ourselves in a way we have never fallen in love with ourselves before. That's my prediction. You're going to start to really go, wow, how cool am I? And that's because we have gotten over the hump of our spiritual healing. We have, gotten, this full circle. Neptune's moved all the way through Pisces. So we've been spiritually awakened in all that regard. Pluto's went through Capricorn. We've dealt with all of our ego issues around power, right? Saturn's halfway through Pisces. So we've taken responsibility to end and close most of the karma that we have with ourselves. Pretty powerful. Chiron has moved up to 22 degrees Aries. So we've healed all of our ego issues and all of our arrogance and all of our aggression and the issues around violence or trauma around violence. So as you can see, this is the greatest version you have ever been in your entire life. If you have followed the steps and you have walked the light in your heart, really, you can just show up and participate and pay attention and you're still going to grow. That's how consciousness works. As long as you're conscious, you're growing, right? So over the course of this month, this is the grand I am. Opportunities are awaiting. That's the theme of this month in the Mega Monthlies. That we have opportunities awaiting for us that we didn't know we had, that we didn't know we wanted, and we couldn't see until we said, I think I love myself. Once you say, I think I love myself, every time I say that, by the way, my heart lights up. Say it out loud right now, y'all. Say at home, I think I love myself, and tell me how it feels. I think I love myself. It feels so refreshing to me as I say it. It's like candy. My heart's like, oh, 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 every time. Yeah. So going forward in this first 2 weeks, I believe what happens is we get this idea in our brain that we can't put away. That idea will grow and grow because what Jupiter will do is now grow that idea into a tree of life of beliefs and knowledge. And so this is the new flowering of your consciousness, which is the inevitability of Jupiter sucking all the energy into Gemini, which the Earth in Sag then manifests the new belief, manifests the new story in essence. And so I believe what's going to happen is this idea is basically the story you were born to live. It's what you're here to do next. It is the fun thing you were trying to get to in this lifetime. And I believe that we sort of build that, we sort of grow that idea and that belief all the way to October 9th, where Jupiter will station retrograde at 21 degrees Gemini, which, by the way, is a grandmaster degree of Jupiter. So that tells me Jupiter going from 0 to 21 or 21 to 0 means that we're going to completely rewrite our mind's operating system according to a new belief structure. So what does this mean practically? This means I think you're going to see people changing political parties. I think you're going to see people changing religions. I think you're going to see people leaving the country. I think you're going to see people coming to the country that's never been here before. I think we're going to see a whole bunch of stuff we never thought we'd see. Like I never thought I'd see grandma at a blah, blah rally, or I never thought in my life I would see so-and-so do this. We're going to see a lot of that. A lot of people really thinking outside of their box, their mind getting outside of their box. In some regards, there's a little bit of a nihilism, like where nothing will seem important for a moment. But I think that is a temporary, transitionary effect that happens. And I feel like it will not be a problem going forward. So we are expanding our mind, expanding our beliefs. Now, you're going to probably carry this little magic bean, this idea, all the way to the Lion's Gate in Leo on 8/8/24, which at 16 degrees Leo, you will then surrender to this idea like, oh, I have to do it. And you're just going to surrender on your knees and just say, God, let me do this. I just feel like this has to be my path. Or your heart's going to go, no, it's really not for me. But I believe on 8/8/24, your heart will know if this seed has full credibility. And it's going to grow and 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 grow. I think from that little seed. Now, Jupiter will retrograde back to February and it will station direct at 11 degrees Gemini, which means that the Jupiter in Gemini transit is basically creating a whole new belief structure in your mind, a whole new operating system in your mind. You'll probably go a little too far in your thinking. That's Jupiter. So expect your mind to go too far, expect to say too much, expect people to say too much. Then Jupiter retrogrades back to 11. At which point, 11 is coming back into integrity, a mindful integrity with myself. And then Jupiter finishes its transit in Gemini in 2025. So in essence, by October 9th, all the major details of this new story ought to be in full play. Now, here's where things get super exciting. The summer of love is just not about being in love with ideas. It's about being in love. I have been shown many times with my guides for many clients and many sessions that this is the portal this summer where many light workers and others are meant to find each other. This is the summer, is what I'm being told, the summer of love. And I believe many people on the planet have a common theme, which is that they came first to clean up all of the relationships they had karma with, and then plan to have a spectacular dessert at the next third or half or whatever part of their life, which would be at this point. This point, this summer, is the summer of no return in the sense that in 10 years from now, you won't think back before this summer, I don't feel. It's sort of like, I talked about this last week. It's like my grandparents in World War II. They don't tell us anything before World War II. We hear nothing about their life before World War II. We had to ask. World War II created such a divot in the consciousness that it became basically the new beginning. We are here at the same point. We're at the new beginning. From this point, we write our whole new story. Many of us will forget what has happened prior to this point. And honestly, as I have said over and over and over again to so many people, specifically as I've been emceeing the Human Garage events, nobody has lived their purpose up until this point. I mean, you've started it, but this is not what you came to do. All the things that happened up until now, I believe, was the cleaning and the scrubbing of the soul to come, and the healing of ourselves to come into our true power and our true potential. So we really are here at the very beginning. A conversation begins with ourselves about what is possible. Now, of course, the earth is in many ways a crazy place. And one of the things I saw in my vision was a couple making out with bombs dropping behind them. That was the image God gave me, which basically told me that life's going to get really hard, but love's going to come to make it better. So once, it's going to ultimately be balanced in the end. And so I believe that if we open our hearts and we open our mind, which is what this 2 weeks of Lovefest is, opening your heart and opening your mind, you will open up enough to bring in the person that you're meant to be with if you are currently single and you want that person. The truth is nobody was ready until now. And secondly, it's important to know that the person you're probably going to be with is not like anyone you've been with before, because our old patterns are over. And the South Node in Libra is telling us that. The South Node in Libra this week is at 13 degrees. That means we are officially shifting the type of relationship we go after. And that means our type is changing. So we're about to change our type. And the changing of your type comes from the fact that your heart no longer feels like you belong with this type. Your heart feels you belong with that type. And so part of this week is going to be that we end our typecasting and we no longer force relationships to fall under a certain type, which means whoever you're meant to be with, and by the way, this isn't just romantic. Maybe you're looking for a producer to your film. Maybe you're looking for a screenwriter. Maybe you're looking for other things in life, right? Whatever that happens to be, you're going to probably change your type. You're going to probably change the person or the vibration or the energy that you tend to go for. So it's a powerful week in that sense, because I feel like, especially with the new moon that we have this week, we're going to have this new idea about ourselves, this new realization about ourselves. And then just a couple days later, we're going to realize we have a different type now because we now feel like we're a different person. Then we're going to have a new moon that says, okay, I open my heart to this direction. Take me, O Lord, take me, universe, to this direction. And then as we move on to the end of the week, we then begin to commit to these changes we want. And I believe we fall in love with the idea. So this is the summer of love and beginning. Now I'm being told I need to take a sip, and I know it. My voice, everyone's giving me sip, sip, sip. All right. But I got to tell you, folks, it's been hoarse all day. I've been talking all day. It's just one of those days. Oops, hold on. That was bad. Okie doke. Thank you guys. Everyone's on me. Sip. And I forgot my blue water. It's right up there. We'll get it. So my voice has been a little hoarse. It's all part of the, processing that I've been going through since I got back. So with that said, this week we have Jupiter trining Pluto right in the beginning of the week. That's the first time the universe says, hey, you've really got to expand your thinking when it comes to loving yourself. You've really got to stay on top of loving yourself. You've really got to be there for yourself to love yourself, or else Mercury then sextiles Neptune, Mercury and Taurus moving into Gemini. And at that point, when Mercury sextiles Neptune, your mind's going to realize, wow, I'm not in Kansas anymore. My timeline has changed. I'm heading for a new reality. And I don't know what's behind this blind corner. And that's really what this weekend is about. So this weekend, we come into this new integrity with ourself and our mind. We come into this new mindset. And we realize that to keep this mindset, we have to keep our mind on our heart. We have to be mindful of our heart the entire time for this to happen. By being mindful of your heart, we realize with step 11 and step 12, the Sun and Venus then begin to conjoin on Sunday. And then on Monday, we have a step 13 day. Mercury enters into Gemini on this day, and the Sun sextiles the North Node. What that basically means is on Monday, everything comes to a new realization that you have typecasted yourself. You have typecasted the people in your life. You've typecasted what your life is supposed to be like. And all those typecasts were basically based on your trauma. That our trauma that we had is what kept us in this sort of thinking, this looping thinking that never stopped and never changed in any way. So I think that Monday is the big day. I think radically is what happens on Monday. We have this realization on Monday. Over the weekend, you realize, hey, I'm the shift. I know it. I've got everything it takes. I need to love myself. I'm about to go where I've never gone before as a soul. So this weekend, you're just like, yes, I'm on the path. Then come Monday, it's like, wow, you know what? I've been thinking on the wrong level this entire time is what ends up happening. Then we have, in essence, Venus conjoins the Sun. So we have the annual Lovefest Day, which is going to be on Tuesday when Venus and the Sun conjoin, and they conjoin at 14 degrees. So 14 degrees is a Grandmaster Gemini Mercury degree. 14 degrees means we change our opinion on Lovefest Day as to what our life is about. So I'm predicting that we are going to be looking at life entirely differently, most likely by the end of the week. And that's because we're going to be creatively inspired. Now, you'll notice, and I just want to put it out there because I'd love to hear what people have to say. You'll notice that your mind wasn't open enough to go there before. You'll realize that if I'd suggested that idea to you 4 years ago, you would have closed your mind to it immediately. You would have sidetracked yourself in another direction. You're going to find that whatever this epiphany is, it was against the rules of your thinking. It was out of your awareness. It was not in the multiple choices that life gave you. And this is why you never saw it before, because it was not tangible in your mind to be able to do that. Yeah, everyone's giving me voice lessons. Alrighty. So I believe that this is going to be quite an epiphany this week. I really think that we're going to have a holy shift moment on Tuesday, but it can happen anywhere from Monday to Wednesday, basically, because those are the energies of when we get that Lovefest starting to kick off. And when the Sun and Venus come to a cazimi together, which happens on Tuesday, that's when really the spark happens. By the way, on Tuesday also, as Venus is conjoining the Sun, Mercury is trining Pluto. So again, our mind is chiming in. I got to love myself. I got to love myself some more. I think I love myself. And then Mercury will conjoin Jupiter, which then blows our mind to a whole nother level. So it appears that the way you think about yourself, first you come into integrity this weekend. After you come into integrity, the first thing you want to do is use it and challenge the world and challenge your life. So we challenge our life. We mentally challenge our life with this new integrity that we have about ourselves. The Sun conjoins Venus. Our mind opens up to places that we normally don't open up to. And bingo, the flash of lightning comes through. I believe you'll either have a profound idea or I believe you'll realize an idea you've already thought is profound. But a love fest at 14 Gemini, that is genius, literally. So there's a possibility for genius going on. I know. I love you too, Michelle. I'm not complaining. Let's take a little tiny moment here, though, because I did spill a little bit. I don't want this desk to get ruined. So that said, and I will get some water here, some extra water. Hold on. We'll get some water. All righty. We'll just get some water. Hold on. All right. And I'm back. That was fast, right? All right. So moving forward through the week, we get to Wednesday, which is hump day. And Wednesday is where you're going to be like, okay, is this real? Am I just kidding myself? Am I way off, off in another direction here? Is this really possible? Am I capable of this? Can I pull this off? And your heart's going to really have to settle with it and ask yourself, is this idea really feasible? Does my heart approve this idea? Now, remember, as I've said this, you're likely going to have an idea that you've never had before. Maybe it doesn't make sense. Maybe it goes against the way you were raised. Maybe it goes against your religion. Maybe it goes against everything you've ever said. Maybe it goes against you. You're going to look like a hypocrite by going down that path. These are all potentials that may be happening, by the way. But whatever the case is, your heart is what tells you this is a yes or this is not a yes. Okay, that's what it's going to be. A yes or a not yes in the heart. Then we have the new moon. So after you accept all this and go, yes, this is what I want, God immediately puts a new moon at step 16 Gemini, where we're choosing grace and we're thinking heavenly. And by thinking heavenly with this grace, you're basically going to say to God, universe, yes, my heart wants this. Now notice the new moon is at 16 degrees Gemini. I have predicted that at 16 degrees Leo, you will then fully embody whatever this idea is. So don't get overwhelmed and afraid about being able to pull it off or whatever. It's going to take the entire summer or winter in Australia for us to know really whether or not this is going to play out the way we want it to play out. So really, it's just about saying yes, allowing things to flow, not stopping things in the flow. Then at the end of the week on Friday, when I come back, we'll be at step 17. And that will be when we commit step 17 to the new path. You commit to this idea. You commit to this wild idea that you have about yourself based on I think I love myself premise, right? And Mars enters into Taurus on that day, which means now you get a second wind of your ego helping you to now manifest all the things you set forth to manifest in May. Your ego is going to be there and be able to carry this through. So the good news is although you're going to be spaced out, I think, with the sun and Jupiter and Gemini, quite often listening to music, zoning out, thinking about possibilities, Mars in Taurus says we do have the oomph and the strength to keep going forward and not drop the ball on any of the promises and things that we have decided to do up until now. So that is very good in my opinion, because I'll tell you, when the energy goes away, it's difficult to deal with. It's like, it was a great idea, but now I don't have the energy to do it. Mars and Taurus says we are going to. So let's take a look at the planets, shall we? Here we go. Let me get some tea. All righty. Let's start with Gemini. In Gemini, we have the Sun, Venus, and Jupiter hanging out in Gemini. The Sun this week goes from 11 degrees Gemini to 18 degrees Gemini. That means that you're going to start the week with your mind in integrity. And then by the end of the week, you're going to commit and act on that idea. So in essence, now 18 happens late in the day, I think on like early Saturday morning. So I actually took you to Saturday morning with this because 18 is, I want to put in your brain right now, you're going to need to act on it right away and get moving with this idea. This is, by the way, I got to say another thing. This is not a time to pass on an opportunity. This is not a time to pass on an opportunity. I just can't say it enough. Unless your heart does not want it. But if your heart wants something and an opportunity comes and you say to yourself, I'm not ready, God will get you ready. You're ready. It wouldn't have come unless you were ready. Okay. A lot of times we don't think we're ready. And that's just because we're critical, because when is ready? At what point do you draw that line? How do you know? Quite often you're looking for a sign from the universe. Jupiter in Gemini right here is going to give you a lot of signs from the universe. And particularly with Jupiter from 1 to 3 this week, you're going to expand what you believe about yourself. So you may never have believed that you could be a light worker. You might not have believed that you could become abundant. Perhaps you didn't believe that you could relocate on your own terms and not have to rely on anybody. But now you're going to begin to believe this. And so as a result, what we commit to and aim for is probably higher than it's ever been in our life, because there's this belief in ourselves that is backed by Neptune all the way through Pisces, backed by Saturn halfway through Pisces, backed by Chiron 22 degrees Aries, backed by all those other planets that have been working on us and helping us come to our abilities and come into our power this whole time. So this time, I don't feel there will be a lack of belief. Now, proof and belief are different things, okay? I believe I can do it. That doesn't mean I've proven it yet. And you don't have to prove to believe. Nobody proves before they believe. They have to believe before they prove, okay? Proof is step 11. Belief is step 3. Proof does not come for 8 more steps after belief, all right? Now, Venus going from 10 to 19 Gemini, now that is ultimately in concert here with the sun. These two are just making love, literally the fire of Venus and the fire of the sun. This opens our heart, and because it's in Gemini, it opens our minds. And this is really why I feel like we're going to have a hell of a surprise between now and September, because people's hearts and minds are opening up in ways they have not before. And I've already seen actually on Twitter a lot of people saying that they are switching their presidential bid in the last couple of days, which is really surprising to me. Really surprising. Now, moving on to Taurus. Taurus, ooh, look at those sparkles. Taurus is going, first of all, we have Mercury in Taurus goes from step 25 to step 10 Gemini. So Mercury does move into Gemini this week, but the mind does start with this week really thinking about what we're going to manifest, what we're heading for, what are the big things that we intend to bring into our life. Mercury then does this sextile to Neptune at 29 on Monday. So we are sort of like feeling a little threatened, basically. Let me look and see the schedule. Is it Monday? No, it's Sunday. Sunday night, Mercury sextiles Neptune. So there's a little bit of this mindful test of, can I do this Sunday night? Can I really push this envelope? Or you might on Sunday night really be, your moral values or your moral potential might be challenged somehow. You might start to think of what's possible in a different way, taking it to another level. But good old Uranus at 24 means that we are innovating our relationship to manifestation right now. We're innovating our relationship to money. We're innovating our relationship to abundance. We're innovating our relationship to anything productive, fertility. 24 is basically valuable relationships. So we are taking relationships higher. We want relationships to be more valuable. This is part of the back end energy that is pushing for the summer of love, is that Uranus is at 24 saying, where is my knight in shining armor? Where is my princess? Where is the one? Right? So we're asking, where is that with Uranus at 24? We're wanting to fulfill this abundant long-term relationship with Uranus in this space. But I do believe that everything is steady as she goes. Remember, Mars does enter into Taurus on Friday, which I didn't put here in the slides, but Mars will enter into this scene, and Mars will push all these manifestations north, basically, for the next 6 weeks or so. Then we have, of course, the energy of Aries. Aries and the red sparkles. Now, Mars is in Aries, and Mars, of course, is going to finish up its last tour in Aries. Its tour in Aries here this week. And this is really a big push for our character, where our character is heading, where our the grand I am is becoming. So we're coming into our grand I am here with this Mars at 23 to 29. And we're realizing that we are the greatest version of ourselves we've ever been. Now, Mars being in this space means that you may have to step into it. You may have to own it. You may have to prove it. You may have to follow through. So Mars is saying it is time to show, to prove to yourself that you are a different character. It also means your character may be tested, which I started having immediately when Mars conjoined Chiron last week. My character was tested. Just, with all the things coming at me, it was a real chance to slip up. It was a real chance to drop the ball. I was pushing too hard, so I had to let off a little bit because I could run myself into the ground. I definitely felt that Mars Chiron conjunction. I also felt, facing chaos, and I felt the chaos when Mars has been across on Chiron. Mars is basically on Chiron right now, and I've been feeling the energy of it today. It's been very chaotic. Yesterday was really intense with the energy, and I think it was Mars on Chiron that we were feeling. Kind of opening up a portal as well too. But the North Node moves from 14 to 13 degrees this week and does so, I believe, tomorrow, or does it on Sunday. I forgot to put down the date of when it happens. But I know that on Monday, the North Node is at 13 degrees. 13 is a commandment to elevate your action, your behavior, your performance. So come Monday, you're called to raise the bar on what's possible. Take it to the higher dimension. Take it to the higher level. Now, the unintended consequence of this, in my opinion, is that everything at the lower level might become suffocating. So I have noticed that people have revealed to me that our time is over just by certain behaviors that I've seen. Like, okay, I think we've done our dance. I think that was proof that we're on different zones. We're in different worlds. So the North Node moving to 13 will be a final straw for some people that's it. This is what my heart believes the way it should be. And so my heart doesn't believe this. It's not in accordance with my beliefs. Therefore, I have to let it go. I will say, however, though, don't be quick to cut people, because a lot of things right now are all about Neptune at 29. And a lot of things are about the final test and the final closure. A lot of people right now, look at Pisces here next. Let's go to the moon, and I'll bring this up here in a minute. Let's check out the moon first. So the moon is in Aries right now. You can feel it. Aries on Saturday and Sunday. A lot of aggro masculine energy helping us move forward. Does mean that our ego is sort of becoming empowered with a new mindset. So mind and ego are coming together on Saturday and Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, it's I manifest, the moon in Taurus. We're sort of feeling our value, our investments, where we want to invest in things. You might be checking in on the projects that you launched during the month of May and really getting those projects in order or seeing where they are so far. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is really when you manifest, Taurus, the new timeline or the new way of thinking, or you manifest the magic idea based on, I think I love myself. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, very productive in the week, because we have the moon in Taurus. We go 13, 14, and 15 in the step numbers. Not only that, we also have Venus conjoining the Sun on 14 and Mercury trining Pluto on 14 and Mercury conjoining Jupiter. So very fertile Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Great time to get things done. Great time to manifest and put some intention into what you want to create. Definitely want to water the garden of what you are creating on that time. Then we move into the countdown to the new moon. The moon on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, we have the actual new moon. And then the moon is in Gemini on Friday. And then we'll be moving into Cancer over next weekend. So next weekend will be an emotional kind of letting our feelings catch up to all this intellectual buzz and ideas and things like that. So interestingly enough, of course, the new moon is on Thursday. So emotionally, everything is really building up to Thursday. And so you might have some purging that happens when the moon returns, is coming to the new moon place. A lot of times those final hours or that final day before the moon apexes with the sun is going to release any emotion, or even in your body, any stress or issues that are potentially holding you back. All right. So moving on to Pisces. So Saturn moves from 18 to 19 Pisces this week, and Neptune is at 29. So I was saying that, although we're going to change relationships and we're going to be finding ourselves with our true loves, a lot of the people that are in our life are here to help us learn, and they're here to help us witness our learning, and they're here to help us come to full circle to understand ourselves. And they play roles in our life that help us do this. So if someone makes a big mistake or drops the ball, or you find out something you don't like, it might be Neptune at 29 degrees testing your spiritual compassion, your intentions, and also your timelines. So it's really a case by case basis. But Saturn from 18 to 19 means that that's an indication that we are going to manifest 19. So we manifest 19, the new spiritual timeline, the same week that we manifest the new moon in Gemini, the new spiritual net 7 timeline, which in my opinion, spiritual means fate. So what the planets are definitely saying is both in the Pisces spectrum and also in the Gemini spectrum, we are basically finding our spiritual fate, finding our voice, finding our way, and finding what we had ultimately agreed to do before we were born, but now we're just catching up with and waking up to. But there might be final tests all summer long about falling into old karmic patterns once again. And the other thing I want to say too, by the way, is that that if something happens again, so many of my clients are coming to me in shame and guilt, and they're saying, oh gosh, it's a Britney Spears song. Oops, I did it again, right? I fell into my karma again. I committed the sin again. I don't know why I did it again. Why did I reach out to her? I knew that was going to be a mistake. Why did I, end up, saying that to them? I knew that would be a mistake. And the truth is because you had to realize with Neptune at 29 that it is finally over. So the only way to realize karma is over is for it to come up again. And when you feel it again, you can feel it is the last time. And so we're having a lot of last time moments happening with Neptune at 29 degrees that people have been reporting to me, where they have gone down a certain path that they know they shouldn't go down. Something tempted them to just look at it one more time. And so there was a little bit of shadow to blow out there. And that's part of the testing. And really the tiny subtle cord cutting is it comes up and you go, that's it. I know this is the last time I'm going to feel this way. It's the last time I'll be in this position with this person. It's the last time I'm going to let my life go this way or whatever. So there's a lot of last times. You could say with Neptune and Pisces, it's a last call. You don't have to go home, but you're not staying here. Moving on to Aquarius. Pluto is at 1 degree, but the key there is to protect self-love at 1 degree. So loving myself and loving myself some more. But at the same time, we have Jupiter trine Pluto at 1 degree on Sunday. We have Mercury trine Pluto at 1 degree on Tuesday. I'm looking for my notes. And then Mercury conjoins Jupiter. So Pluto's playing a strong role this week to make sure that you love yourself and that you stay in the vibration of loving yourself, and that battery of loving yourself does not get influenced by your thoughts, your feelings, other people, situations, that the self-love, I think I love myself, we keep that portal open. And then when it comes to shadow, there's Virgo, Black Moon Lilith. Black Moon Lilith in Virgo goes from step 26 to step 27 this week. That means that you shift from fear of changing your life. Well, basically you face the fears of commitment to change your life. So any commitment issues that you have around life changes, you face those fears. And then you face the fears of what it takes to actually do that change or make that change. So I can recall times in my life where I was afraid to change. I was buried in, I was burrowed in, I was caught in my ways. It seemed like I couldn't get out of this like sleepy consciousness of repeating things over and over and over and over again. And I was afraid, like, I can't make that move. I can't make that change. There's no way I can get out of this relationship. There's no way I can get out of this job. There's no way I can find another job that'll pay me this much. There's no way that I'm going to be able to make money in this new field like I used to in the old field. And so that's the fear of change. Fearful that you can't change your life. Now, if Black Moon Lilith is there, it means you're going to change your life. And that's why you're facing the fears about changing your life. So I think at the end of the day, it's going to all work out. And you're just going to have to start taking steps in that direction and prove Black Moon Lilith otherwise, that these are just false evidence appearing real, and that ultimately I can change my life. I think in Virgo, it really feels like a permanent energy. And so the problem with Virgo energy is its permanence keeps us from really, feeling like we can be flexible, which is why you go to the other side of Pisces to sort of lubricate that moment with inner faith. All right. So that's the planets. Yay. It's now time for some tea. Let's see if I have any left here. Go steep yourself some tea, my friend, and let's have our weekly tea time. I don't know. There we are. We kind of froze there. I look glossy, but I don't think I am. I think it's the camera. So I'm just putting a glossy disclaimer here on the camera. I'm going to have to start wearing powder. We switched all the tech and now it's just more glossy. Hello, hello, hello. We're going to be talking about all 12 signs today and what they're going through. I'm going with paper now instead of digital because it's a little bit easier for me. We have a lot to talk about in our horoscopes. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to do the screen share. So I messed up. I didn't show the planets. So let me show the planets and then we'll just move right into the horoscopes. Okay. And actually, maybe this is spirit. See, anytime I make a mistake right now, I'm actually wondering if it's a cue from spirit. So for instance, this week, I actually wasn't even a mistake. We couldn't do our mega monthly goldens like we wanted to at the normal time. So we did them later at night. Turns out later at night works really well. So it's like sometimes a mistake turns out to be a change. I've often wondered if I should actually show the planets before I go into the 12 horoscopes because it's sort of fresh in your mind. And I can point to the planets I'm about to talk about. So let's try that today and take advantage of this little mistake. So I'm going to share the screen here. Here we go. So first of all, is this right? Okay, good. Making sure it was working there. Keep streaming for Katie Sutton. I'm excited to have a conversation with her. She's another Taurus, and we're going to be talking about the energies and what she's picking up and what she is foreseeing. This will be a casual conversation among light workers. The first is on Sunday, Jupiter trines Pluto. So this is like getting into your mind. I think I love myself, and protecting that I think I love myself, right, is what happens on Sunday. On Sunday also, we have Mercury sextiles Pluto. So Mercury, actually, first of all, Mercury will first sextile Neptune. I think this is incorrect. Mercury sextiles Neptune first at 29 degrees. And then Mercury trines Pluto later. So Mercury literally will be tested. Remember I was telling you there were spiritual tests where some people are dropping the ball or doing things or, having accidents because they're basically being tested on their karma. Well, come Sunday around noon, okay, note to self, I'll be in East Coast at that time. You might be tested on faith. There might be a test of faith, a test of spirituality. And what you want to do is respond to your feelings. That's what the 9 to the 2 really is about. Then we have Mercury entering into Gemini. That happens early overnight here in the United States. Mercury moving into Gemini, coming into a conjunction with Jupiter and trining Pluto. So again, this is like getting your mind wrapped around the fact that you love yourself and you'll love yourself some more. It's important to note that ultimately, with Mercury moving into this space, you're going to probably, after the test of Mercury sextiling Neptune, you're going to have this test of faith. And then after the test of faith, this reminder that you must love yourself and love yourself some more. So expect a little bit of a challenge between Sunday into Monday morning is what I'm saying because of that. Then later on Monday, the sun will then sextile the North Node. And this is where a shift starts to happen. This happens late at night Monday, so it could be your Tuesday morning that you feel this. Of course, I'll be live with LOL at that time. But the sun and Venus are now in conjunction. They started conjoining really on Sunday. You can see here, let's go back to Sunday. The sun and Venus started conjoining on Sunday at step 12. Here we go, at step 12. And so that's really the summer of love is beginning. And things start heating up. And then when the sun and Venus come together at step 13, They're both in the same step number. They're not fully conjunct. But what happens is they do sextile the North Node, which is now just moved to 13 too. This is the shift storm that I think may change our lives. This is probably the most exciting and energetic moment we have going on this week. It'll be again late at night on Monday, so it could be Tuesday morning energy. The moon is in Taurus, so you're feeling very grounded, even though your mind is being blown. So it's kind of a weird hold the person down, pull their mind apart kind of thing, which is what ends up happening. Notice Jupiter at 2, we're starting to get new beliefs about how we feel about things. Then Venus will sextile the North Node following the Sun has just done that. So it's a full completion there. Then we have on Tuesday, Mercury. What do we have here? Mercury conjoins Jupiter. They conjoin at step 2. And look at this. Look at this day. I mean, the planets this week are just remarkable. This is why I call this the summer of love. Here you have the Sun and Venus coming to a new conclusion, net 5. Like my heart's coming to a new conclusion. And I'm also thinking differently about the way I feel. This double conjunction going on. This is on Tuesday, early in the morning. So it sets up the energy for the whole day. Watch how the moon's going to cross over Uranus on Tuesday as well. That's going to really stir things up. So Tuesday is an intense day, I feel, ultimately. Where did I find let me find my other page here too. Here we go. Tuesday's an intense day. We also have Mercury. What else happens? Mercury trines Pluto. We talked about that. So again, we're timing into that. I showed that already. And then we have on Tuesday, the real apex of it, of course, when Venus conjoins the Sun. This is annual Lovefest Day. This is the annual Lovefest Day when Venus and the Sun come together once a year. It means your heart opens up and it's 14 degrees. So your heart is opening up to new ideas, net 5. Your heart's opening up to a new vision. And it's based on you thinking that your feelings are telling you something different than they've ever told you. So we have this epiphany on step 14. Then Wednesday is a very quiet day. And then Thursday, we have the new moon at step 16. Look at this stellium, the Sun, the moon, and Venus, all in harmony at step 16, squaring Saturn at step 18, ready to go to 19. So there's some tension here, meaning that Saturn is saying you've got to change your karma, which means you've got to change your mind. Mercury at step 6 says we have a totally open mind. Look at this 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. I don't think 4 sixes is negative. 24, net 6. A lot of openness. And that's why I think we fall in love. That's why I think it is the summer of love, because we open up and we fall into this. Our heart just opens without asking. And then we have on Saturday, I went ahead a week on Saturday here just to give you a peek. But then what happens is that we have Venus squares Saturn on Saturday, on Saturn Day. And that's when we're moving forward with these new ideas and what we want to do. And so the Venus square says, okay, this means that we've reached a turning point in our different stories. So next Saturday and Sunday, I feel like our lives have changed, which is awesome. All righty. So I have to figure out, where do they put the button for ending this screen share? Here we go. Okay, we're back. All right, so let's take a look at all 12 signs. And actually, I'm going to go back. Let's do it one more time here to the screen share, actually. I realized what I wanted to do. So I'm going to screen share one more time, Sarah. So let's look at what we're talking about. So for this week's horoscopes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about, first of all, the new moon. I'll tell you what the new moon means for you and where it is that you are opening your heart to the path of least resistance. I will talk about the Earth over in Sagittarius and where you are manifesting in your life a new story. Then I'll talk about launching the Grand I Am, which is Mars. This is too late. Let's go a little earlier. Before Mars. So Mars here in the high degrees of Aries, where you are launching the Grand I Am and where you have to go the extra mile for your character. And then I'm going to talk about Mercury and Neptune sextiling. Let's see where we go here. Here we go. I'll talk about Mercury sextiling Neptune, this 29-degree moment. Where's Neptune? Here we go. This 29-degree moment and what that moment means for you, what you are comparing and contrasting in that moment. All right. There we go. Awesome. And as always, I'll put here to the side which of the signs we were talking about. And as always, let's begin with the Aries. I'm just getting some other notes here. Ooh, love the new blue stuff. Aries, you are manifesting the path of least resistance when it comes to open heart communication. You are learning how to communicate from an open heart. And this open heart communication ultimately sets you up for all of your success, because we know you're tough, but we don't know how loving and sweet you are. What's going to happen is the Earth over in Sagittarius is calling for you now to manifest new beliefs based on this open heart. And so an open heart brings an open belief to where you may go next. So you could say that the road sort of opened wide for the Aries and Aries rising this week with this new moon that happens, because you are definitely thinking differently about yourself. When it comes to the North Node at 13 degrees and Chiron at 22 degrees and Mars hitting 27 degrees, so that's all the fireworks going on in Aries, you are launching the grand I am of a new character that you've been working on for probably about since 2019. So you are now ready to really beta test this new version of yourself. It may be that you're finally licensed. It may be that you've graduated. It may be that you have a new title. You're a Mr. or you're a Mrs. now. It could be lots of things like that. Or it could just be that it's a new behavior pattern that you're ready to put forth and really own. And with Mercury and Taurus sextiling Neptune and Pisces, you are connecting your ideas of abundance with your spiritual purpose. So there may be a test between spiritual purpose and abundance, spiritual purpose and money. And the universe is saying you want both. You want both the spirit and the money. All right. Taurus. Taurus, you are manifesting with the new moon open heart manifestations. So the ability to manifest things from the heart versus manifesting things from the mind or from the ego, or, to show them, which is the ego, or to make up for the past, which is the ego. So you're really doing an open heart manifestation. You're creating something and pulling something into your life this week. And you are thinking differently about what your worthiness is. You're realizing that you are worth more, which is what leads to this open heart manifestation. Now, the Earth in Sagittarius means that you will be changing major boundaries over the course of this week. These boundaries include personal space, sexual boundaries, intimacy, sexuality, any issues around safety, that sort of thing. So you're manifesting a new story about where the boundaries are going to lie in your new life. Where you have this grand I am is this new feeling and confidence with God. And I have to say, I'm really starting to feel this, because I've had moments where I'm like, oh gosh, everything could collapse. And then I'm like, hold on a second. With everything I've learned, it will not, because I said so, right? So I'm learning that I have the power of God within me. So I think Tauruses are really feeling the power of God within them. And then, of course, Mars moves into Taurus on Friday. So Taurus is going to get a bit of an energy pick-me-up, which I could use because I've actually used up all my batteries here. The Mercury-Neptune sextile is that you have to be mindful of your character and also your social ambition. Both your character and your ambition should be equally embraced. And so you want to maintain your character, but you also want to maintain the presence you have created in society. So it's an interesting coordination between character and social reputation, if you will. All right. I'm going to do water. Okay. Gemini. Gemini, you are doing open-hearted behavior. So Gemini is basically learning how to check their heart before they act, check their heart before they do, in essence. So to be mindful of your heart in everything you do. If your heart says yes, then do it. If your heart doesn't say yes, then don't do it. So a mindful heart is what you want to be engaging anytime you say something, respond to someone, start something fresh and new. You want to engage your heart. And this is heartfelt behavior that Geminis are now beginning. When it comes to the Earth in Sagittarius, you're manifesting relationships now. New relationships, maybe a new relationship to food, maybe a new relationship to people, maybe relationships are going to a higher level. but I do see Geminis, particularly Gemini women, starting to manifest relationships, particularly the single women. The North Node at 13, Chiron at 22, and Mars hitting 27 is all around social ambition. You are being tested now on stepping up to your ambition, to taking your rightful place in society where you're meant to be and what you're meant to do, and to ultimately go for it in the world and make your move. So you're getting a big green flag to make your move in the world. Mercury is saying you've got to reconcile your relationship to God with your career and legacy, that you've come here to have both your relationship and your career and where you want to go. So you are making sure that your path and your career and your legacy is a spiritual driven path that your heart knows is your calling. So that will be a test of that. Like, am I on the right path over the course of the week, particularly on Monday? All right. Moving on to the Cancers. Cancers, you are opening your heart to a higher form of spirituality and higher faith. So the new moon for you is that you will go with your faith versus go with your fear. That's ultimately what the line is, to choose faith over fear. With your Earth in Sagittarius, you're going to manifest a new daily work life, new routines, maybe new employees, maybe a new employer. But basically, stuff is changing in daily life as you open up to your faith. At the same time, Mars and Chiron and North Node is all saying it's time for Cancers to basically go for their career legacy that they want to go for. Go be who you want to be in the world. Go achieve what you want to achieve. Go parent who you want to parent. So getting huge kudos to go for it when it comes to legacy and leadership and career and management. And Mercury sextiling Neptune says you've got to be mindful both of your social ambition on one side and your life purpose on the other. You want social ambition and life purpose to both be on the same page, and you might have to make sure they're on the same page sometime around Monday. All right. Leos, you are opening your heart to the world. So Leos are now stepping into the world. They're finding a new place in the world, a new role in the world. You have a new idea of who you're supposed to be in the world. This includes where you live, where you work, all the different aspects of your job. But it also means who are your friends, what's your reputation. Your heart is ready to go out and sort of reinvent your world reputation. Remember, the last time you did this was 2012. With the Earth in Sag, it means that you are manifesting your personal dreams, things that your heart has always wanted, stuff like love and creativity, or a lover, if that's what you're wanting, and the ability to create children, if that's what you're wanting as well. So really, Leos are becoming very worldly, and they're also becoming very, very heartfelt. All that Martian energy with Chiron and Mars and the North Node is all pointing towards life purpose. You are being challenged now to stay on course with your life purpose. Don't lose track of where you are here to become and what you are here to achieve. So it's the last lap. It might be tiring sometimes and exhausting. There's been a lot of exhausting moments for me in the last 6 weeks. And the sextile of Mercury and Neptune is between career and life transformation. You are here to change your life, period. What you see now is not what you're going to end up having. But you also want to make sure that your career is also on track and that your life changes don't affect your career. So career and life changes must be in synchronization. All righty. Virgos. Virgos, you are opening your heart to a new future and a new career. So your heart is now ready to embrace and open your mind to all new potentials of what your career and legacy can become. So it's a very exciting time for Virgos to get out there. And I have a lot of Virgo rising clients right now that I can affirm this is absolutely happening to them. They're getting opportunities that fall out of the sky to work with other people, get on board projects. So I'm seeing a lot of stir up with career with Virgo. This could be a positive year of fortune for you when it comes to career with Virgo. With the Earth in Sagittarius, it means you're going to manifest a better home, better feelings, more groundedness, more emotional security, perhaps expansion of the family. The Martian energy is saying that for Virgos, you've got to move forward and continue to transform your life. Don't give up. Go the whole 9 yards. This is a complete makeover. And so you are, really focused on taking transformation to the next level this week with the North Node at 13 degrees. And then the sextile between Mercury and Neptune says your life purpose and your partnerships have to be on the same page. Life purpose and partnership have to be on the same page. So you have to make sure that your partners are in alignment with your life purpose and your purpose is in alignment with your partnerships. And so it is. All righty. Sorry for my voice, folks. I don't know what's up. Libras. Libras, you're opening your heart to new beliefs and new learning. Libras are ready for a new path. They're ready for a new existence. They're ready for a new purpose. And so your heart is falling in love with an idea of what could be your future. Pretty powerful stuff. Now, the Earth in Sag says that while you're opening your heart to this new learning or this education, maybe opening your heart to travel, you're actually manifesting new ideas, new connections, new communications, new BFIs, best friend, BFFs. What's a BFI? More best friends forever. So you're manifesting a lot of intellectual connections right now and perhaps feeding that intellectual potential. All that energy with Mars and Chiron and the North Node basically says that you have to now go the extra distance when it comes to relationships and partnerships, that you might be tested on who you are in partnerships. You might be tested to fall back into the old you in partnerships. So you definitely got to just march forward in your partnerships and not slow down at all. Okay. That said, Mercury sextiling Neptune says evolution and work-life routines are basically what must be in coordination. So evolution is changing your life, but also your lifestyle has to also change. So you do not give up the transformation of lifestyle and also personal boundaries. They all fall into the same bucket for you, Libra. Scorpios, you're opening your heart now and boundaries. You're opening your heart to new boundaries and new limits. You're being called to be more close, and for different reasons. You're being called to let your walls down according to the power of love. So if your heart's engaged, then change the boundary, but also perhaps put up some boundaries where you need to protect yourself because you put up with too much stuff. Now you're the master of boundaries, but you've probably been stuck in an old mindset for a long time. So it's Jupiter and Gemini that's opening your mind to new possibilities. And so you might find a boundary structure you never thought of. The Earth in Sagittarius means that you're going to be manifesting money and productivity. So bravo to that. There's not a lot to say there. You've got a great place in that sense. Mars, Chiron in the North Node says your lifestyle needs to go up a notch now. So you're taking lifestyle to a higher notch. Mars is challenging you to master your lifestyle now. That's how you work, how you live, how you interact with family and with others. And Mercury sextile Neptune says that you must make sure that your long-term partnerships and your personal dreams are on the same page. Your dreams have to support your partnership agreements, and your partnership agreements have to support your dreams. Both must happen, says Mercury sextiling Neptune on Monday. All right. Sagittariuses. Sagittarius, you are opening your heart now to relationships. So this new moon is about you relating differently to people. And this is romantic relationships, work relationships, any type of relationship like to food or to chocolate. You're opening up now to a broader perspective of what relationships can be or should be. So I am predicting that my Sages, if you are single, you are in the hot zone now to find the hot one in the next year. Just make sure it's another unicorn, not Sag, but a unicorn like yourself. Now, the Earth in Sag means that as you are opening up to new relationships, you're actually manifesting new behavior, new responses, new ways of interacting with people. So Sages are putting on a new character. They're putting on a new face. And this is a direct result of the relationships they have been engaged in. Mars, Chiron, and also the North Node at 13 degrees says your dreams and wishes and love life need to go to the next level. Your personal dreams and your relationships to your children may be challenged. You have to stay on the grand I am, that your heart deserves it, and you are that artist or you are that person that's come to help wounded children or whatever. So there's a grand I am around the heart and around children. And Mercury sextiling Neptune says that your lifestyle and your emotional security must be in coordination. So your emotional security cannot affect your lifestyle. Your lifestyle cannot disrupt your emotional security. And so it is. Great. We're going to take a drink of tea this time. All right. Things are banging. Capricorns. Capricorns, you are opening your heart to new life routines, new ways of working, new ways of performing, new ways of being in the moment. So you're opening up now to an open mind. It may go differently. It might happen a way you hadn't thought about. Maybe there's tools you don't know about. Maybe there's investors you don't know about. So you're opening up now to a heartfelt, heart-driven lifestyle and way of life. The Earth in Sagittarius says you'll be manifesting spirituality and manifesting faith as a result of changing your lifestyle. The Martian energy says you've got to push really hard to maintain emotional security, to maintain the home and family, to hold that chest out of home and family together. And your emotional nurturing does need to go to a higher level. The North Node 13 says it's time to nurture on a higher level or feel comfortable on a higher level. Your comfort needs to be, quite simply, higher, is what it's saying. Now, the Mercury sextile to Neptune says you must coordinate your personal dreams and wishes with your ideas and your strategy. So make sure your mind does not trample on your wishes. Make sure your wishes do not overthrow what your mind is telling you. So pretty good there for the Cappies. All right. Aquarius. Aquas, you are opening your heart now to love and creativity. We're going to see the Aquariuses falling in love left and right. It's going to be really fun to watch. You are breaking through whatever childhood issues that might hold you back at this time, but you are ultimately going to open your heart to being more creative, more loving, more musical, more magical. So it's a very magical new moon for the Aquas and Aqua risings. The Earth in Sag says you are now manifesting a new place in society, a new relationship. You're manifesting new friends right now, new associations, and new collaborations. So that's very powerful. With the North Node, Chiron, and Mars all in Aries, you must stay strong with your attitude, be unwavering with your attitude, and stay focused on what your mind is telling you and not sway or stray. But your overall thinking does need to go up to a higher level. With the North Node at 13, it means you are now ready to jump to a higher level of thinking. And with Mercury sextiling Neptune, you are connecting. You must make sure your emotional security and your finances are not mutually disruptive. So emotions cannot disrupt finances. Finances cannot be the cause and disruption of emotion. Where are you being tested? Around finances. So that might be the trigger in that case. All right, we're going to do one more here. Drum roll. And then the Pisces. Pisces, you are opening your heart to feelings and family. So it's now time to open up to a new groundedness, basically a new fishbowl. I happen to know one popular Pisces right now who is literally driving across the country to move to a new place. So I can confirm this. It is absolutely happening. Pisces are creating a new fishbowl and they are grounding themselves in this new fish tank. The Earth in Sag says your career and legacy is going to bloom as a result of this new fish tank and grounding yourself into the new pond. I'm sure you'll meet some fun goldfish and some betas in there as well. Mars, North Node, and Chiron is saying stay very focused and strong about money and abundance. Don't give up that abundance fight. You are worth it. Hold that space. Do not turn back. Do not pass go. Collect $200. Okay. So make sure you are owning your abundance and owning your worth right now. You might be tested. You want to double down and say you are worth it. And then Mercury sextiling Neptune says you have to make sure that your thoughts don't get in the way of your character and action plan. So thoughts and character have to be in alignment. Don't let your character interrupt your mind. Don't let your mind disrupt your character. Make sure those are both equal playing fields. All right, Pisces. Well, friends, I'm going to probably go get some more water. We're going to take a break. We're going to play the Zodiac weather again. We're going to play the promo for Unite the Light at unitethelight.love. Tickets available right now at unitethelight.love. And when I get back, I'm bringing back in the studio one of my favorites, Katie Sutton. Keep streaming. from Saturday, June 1st to Friday, June 7th, 2024. Looking ahead at the weekend moodcast. Over the weekend, you are coming into a new integrity in the way you think about yourself and then expanding outward. Let's drill down. On Saturday, it's sunny and sacred. Step 11 means Chiron rules the day, so you're coming into an alignment and really starting to think that this shift is getting real. You are aligning with the mission through the motive, I love myself and I will love myself some more. The moon in Aries will make you feel quite strong, and Venus squares Juno, so it's a turning point when it comes to personal integrity. On Sunday, it's sunny and leaping, perhaps for joy. Step 12 means that Jupiter rules the day. You are expanding your mind into new territories now that you found inner intellectual integrity. Jupiter trines Pluto, which means you're going to have to reconcile loving yourself and protecting that in your mindset. Mercury sextiles Neptune, which means you may be tested on whether or not your manifestations are reaching your spiritual intentions or align with them. And the moon shifts into Taurus, so by the end of the day, you are feeling self-worth. Now moving on to the weekday 5-day moodcast. Over the upcoming week, you will then take that idea of what's possible higher, and then a new moon seals the deal on Thursday. Let's take a look. Starting on Monday, it's sunny and profitable. Step 13 means Uranus rules the day. It's time to think radically. You're choosing new timetables. Mercury enters into Taurus, so now your mind gets a bit sharper. And both the Sun and Venus sextile the North Node, which means you are aligning your thinking with your actions and your behavior. The moon in Taurus manifests the realization. On Tuesday, it's sunny and escalating. Step 14 means that we're in the second Grandmaster day of Gemini. Mercury rules the day, and you are thinking brilliantly. By the way, happy Lovefest year! The sun is conjoining Venus, which means this is the most loving day of the entire year. The question is, are you going to take this as half full or half empty? Mercury also trines Pluto, which means our mind must incorporate self-love. And then Mercury conjoins Jupiter, which means the mind is then blown with perhaps new ideas. This is probably the most exciting day of the week. On Wednesday, it's sunny and surreal. Step 15 means Venus rules the day. It's a creative resting and receiving day. You are thinking creatively, and you're opening up and embracing the new timeline. And the moon shifts in Gemini for a countdown to the new moon. On Thursday, it's cloudy and beautiful. Step 16 means Neptune rules the day. The key phrase is, I think heavenly, and you are choosing grace. No wonder. It's a new moon in Gemini at step 16, and the new moon is calling for the mental path of least resistance. And then finally on Friday, it's sunny and cozy. Step 17 means that Saturn is ruling the day, and the key phrase is, I think decisively. After getting clarity on that new moon yesterday, you're ready to declare the direction that you want to go in daily life. You could say you're committing to a third option. And here to save the day and make it manifest, Mars enters Taurus.
It's serious joy, joy, joy.
I believe what's next is what we came here to do, honestly. I honestly believe this is a divine appointment.
There's no blueprint for what we're about to do.
We're the new generation of evolving our species.
So, we're going to talk about boundaries.
You are much closer to making your dent in social media than you think.
Welcome to ASTRO Mingle, the spiritual podcast that mingles with the talented light workers and innovative influencers of our time. Here at the Mingle, we are slowly bringing together some of the best and the brightest light workers as recurring guests on our TV show. Tonight's guest is a light worker pioneering in her spirit and in her own right. She's pushing the envelope of what we do in the light work field. Katie Sutton is a best-selling author, intuitive channel, vibrational healer, and energy medicine teacher. She's also the founder of Zen Within Academy and the New Earth Now School, an online and in-person learning community to help guide people on their personal path to wholeness and fulfillment. Zen Within Academy facilitates access to a community of like-minded individuals who understand each other's struggles and encourage one another in their healing and spiritual transformation. She and her husband, Josh Vogt, lead retreats and workshops around the world, sharing Katie's healing modality and 12th dimensional healing to help people reclaim their Zen within. Please send some waves of love and gratitude to welcome back our guest, Step Zero Taurus, Katie Sutton. Yay! We need an applause button. We need to get an applause button. How's it going?
Good. I'm so happy to be back. It's so good to see you.
It's nice to see you also. I mean, we've both been incredibly busy, haven't we?
Yes, just a little. Been a big year so far.
It has been an incredibly big year. And I feel like for Taurus, that is like underscore times 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So people who are new to you, why don't you say in your own words, like, what is your purpose here? You are a galactic present from the universe, aren't you?
I think in the simplest term, I'm a bridge. I feel like I'm here to be a channel of the divine and to help people step into their empowerment and step into their truth and open their hearts to the infinite potential that they have on this planet. And however that shows up is perfect, right? But I'm here to help kind of guide them through healing trauma, removing obstacles, and get them to be in that place of least resistance in their purpose.
Brilliant. And so how's business?
Good. Busy. Very busy. We just got back from Peru. We took some souls there with us, and I'm totally in a different vibration than I was 20 days ago. And I'm watching people around me shift faster and faster every day. These energies that we're moving into June are very interesting. So it's going to be a big month, I think.
Well, that's what I want to talk about. So tell us what happened in Peru. What were you doing and what dates were you guys there?
Yeah, so we were gone the 7th through the 18th, roughly. It took us about 30 hours to get home. So we took a little bit of a longer tour on the way back because we missed our flights. But our trip there was about connecting with the divine feminine. And Mother Earth and I have been in this deepening of our relationship for the last 4 or 5 years. And in the last 3 years, it became really clear that I need to get people out on the earth and facilitate being a bridge of bringing those codes in from Mother Earth so that people can experience fifth dimensional and higher frequency from her purview. So that's kind of what we were doing in Peru, going to all the temples, activating that divine feminine connection, just a really sacred journey of magic. Every day was magic. There were so many magical things that happened, so many synchronicities, and just bringing that back to my community as well. The folks that didn't get to go with us is an important part of my work now.
So you took a group to Peru. You guys went to ancient Peruvian spiritual sites. Mm-hmm. You did rituals, I'm assuming. Why did you choose Peru?
Well, I have an ancestral connection to Peru. So my ancestors originally on my mother line migrated from Peru to Mexico City. And so there's a actual mother line connection for me in reclaiming my divine feminine frequency and healing my lineage. But my husband has studied with the Curos and the teachers in the high Andes Mountains for several years. Wow. So we've just kind of been dancing in and out of that world and just felt like it was time for us to take a trip there.
Interesting. And what do you know about the earth in Peru? I mean, it's like what sort of energy does Peru serve Mother Earth? Do you know?
So the way that I experience the frequency, everything that I teach in my work, especially since about 2018, has been about the harmony between the masculine and the feminine and the balancing of those energies. And I have never been anywhere else on the planet where that was more culturally embodied. All of their teachings and all of their, divine rituals and their sacred ceremonies are about that balance and that harmony between the masculine and the feminine. So it kind of felt like my serious energy of teaching about those energies of masculine and feminine balance were just alive and well in Peru. So I got to be steeped in it the whole time I was there.
Interesting. I would say, like the Western civilization is only now starting to work on balancing those energies, right?
Yes. Yes.
We've been way polarized. And so you see Peru as a harmonizer, sort of a
Hmm.
yin yang, spinning yin yang kind of coming together, masculine and feminine.
Yeah, and there's other places on the planet. Costa Rica is a place we're going to take people to next year. I'm also going to take people to swim with the dolphins in the Bahamas next year as well.
Ooh,
There's lots of
fun.
ways that we can activate that frequency, but I think Peru was the most steeped in balance of those two energies that I've ever been.
Had you been to Peru before?
Nope, first time.
Oh, so you just heard the husband talk about it over and over again, and you're like, I got to go. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So you actually came back right before the 18th, where the energy
Mhm.
got incredibly intense
Yes.
with the sun on Jupiter and Venus on Uranus.
Hmm.
As a mystic, as a bridger of worlds, what are you sensing that's happening right now in May on the Earth in your own words? I can go astrological, but I'm curious what you see.
Yeah, well, I was able to download the 4 themes for June, even though I haven't recorded my energy update, so I can share those with you. But
Oh,
overarchingly, what I feel is that the solar flares that we had kind of while I was in Peru. So talk about a time to be in the land of the Incans where they're,
wow.
worshiping the sun basically and bringing that energy in and being at these temples and then getting bombarded with these solar codes. What I have witnessed since I got back is that when we got bombarded by that solar light, it's pushing some people that maybe hadn't yet been doing their spiritual work to existential crisis moments.
We saw the
I've
same.
had I've had some people showing up on my couch for session that I didn't think were ever going to show up. I didn't think they were ever going to
Mm.
make that turn, spouses, partners of people that I've been working with for a long time. That's kind of what I've been seeing. And it's really, really interesting because as that light is coming onto the planet, we're being bathed with all of these frequencies of, the sun is a data keeper, a record keeper of all of the energy across all of the history of the universe. And so all of these photonic bands that are coming in are waking up really primal things in a lot of people. And
Hmm.
they don't always have the capacity or the ability to transmute that energy without it feeling like a huge change needs to happen in their life. So I think we're going to have a lot of people with kind of existential crises and crisis of faith, changing perspectives, changing lanes really quickly in the way that they're, just viewing the world. I think we're going to start to see that just happen faster and faster as we move through the back half of the year.
And that's not even Jupiter and Gemini. That's just you picking up third eye, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we saw the same thing. Even my own mother, she ended up having an accident, ending up in the hospital, but I really feel like she was, being stubborn like her son, and so we had a lot of reports of people in the hospital, people in car accidents, like basically the universe saying, okay, you're out of time. You have to get this or go. Like there's no more room for this
Yeah,
vibration on the planet anymore.
yeah.
Um, and I think with Jupiter and Gemini, I agree. I think people are going to be Jupiter and Gemini is going to create a low grade anxiety probably in people's thinking. And so
Mhm,
you match that low grade anxiety with the test of spiritual at the same time. You could have people going down certain rabbit holes all
mhm.
inside themselves, like staying right where they are in their house, but just melting down, because they haven't looked at any of this. It's interesting.
Yeah, and I think for those of us that have been doing our work and have been kind of waiting for this moment, it's going to feel somewhat similar. What I've noticed since I got back is this I say that we're in the void. So a couple of years ago, I taught this course called Creation Consciousness, and I took people through the different layers and levels of creation, basically. And one of the difficulties that I find that people get into is they get into the void, which is that space of infinite potential before their life has changed, before the new timeline has come in. And if we don't rest in that and continue to make subtle alignments of what we want to bring, kind of bring to the table, then we can get a little bit wrapped around the axle as we're trying to manifest. And so when we're in the void, it's about being patient and waiting for these things to come in, but consistently looking forward to what it is that we're trying to manifest. And so what I find is that that can be a place of a lot of anxiety for people sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And what were you picking up in your group that went to that went down to Peru with you? Had you noticed themes going on in your group as far as people where they are in their personal evolution? Because what we witnessed here at Serious Joy in the last couple of months is that solar eclipse in April, and then all this energy in Taurus, a lot of profound, I guess, inner making over of themselves, like they were ending shadow and beginning a new chapter. What have you seen in your clients?
Yeah, I would say I'm seeing a lot of people kind of being in that transition place where they have a new awareness of how they want to live their life, but they haven't quite figured out how to make that turn yet.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to determine what it is that they need to maybe change internally or externally to align with that higher vision. And in that transition place, if they are able to kind of sit with the uncomfortable feelings that are coming up and
Mm-hmm.
work through those emotions that are getting triggered, then they're able to cut through a lot of ancestral looping patterns and
Mm.
personal kind of soul lineage looping patterns that maybe they've been working with for a really long time. And on the external reality, that might look like they're cutting ties with people. They're
Mm.
letting certain relationships go. They're letting certain battles go. Maybe they're surrendering to a process that they were in resistance to. Those kinds of things is what I'm seeing.
Got you. Okay. We're seeing similar. Now, are
Mhm.
you had the retreat down? Didn't you say you were going to Shasta, or is that my imagination?
Yeah, the end of July. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
right at the beginning of Lionsgate. So
Wow.
yeah.
You're
So
gonna be on
we'll be
that Mother
opening the
Mother Earth's
portal in
root
Shasta.
chakra.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
what's calling you there?
So when I first got guided to go back, I went the first time in 2018, and that's when 12th dimensional healing downloaded. So my healing
Okay.
modality came in while I was there. It's a power spot on the world for me. After that, I went back in 2019 and had another shift and took a group in 2020. And that's when I started working on my mother wound. And that's been the last 4 years. So I'm closing out a personal chapter, but for the world and the group that I'm bringing, it feels like we are going to be reconnecting to the codes of Lemuria.
Wow.
So that energy from the Lemurian time stream, which is very different, I think, than the Atlantean time frame where we were dropping into technology and we kind of started to move in a dualistic way. That Lemurian time stream is very pure and it's about harmony. So it's kind of like reconnecting to that Lemurian time stream is very similar to the inner Peru where we were connecting to that harmony and that balance between the masculine and feminine.
Yeah, it seems that Lemurian too is more on the sides of Peru than Atlantis was
Yeah,
energetically.
yeah.
Um, so it's a personal timeline shift, is what you're saying for you, but you're just bringing some people along for the ride.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of the way I roll. It's like every time I get called to a place, there's another group that is needing to be going with me to do the work, and we're working with the earth in tandem. They're shifting, we're shifting as a group, we're bringing in codes as a collective. The last time we were in Shasta, it was all about connecting with our star brothers and sisters, and I imagine there will be some of that this time too.
Interesting. And you're
Yeah.
going again, you said around Lionsgate.
Yeah, so we're going kind of at the opening of that portal. So we're going to be gone the 26th and we come back on the 2nd of August. So, yeah,
Okay, gotcha.
yeah.
Roger
Hmm.
that. Is that something that's still available? You have seats too, or
Sold out.
okay, well, good for you.
Yeah, yeah. So
I
they'll have to
haven't.
wait till next year when we go other places.
Yeah, totally. Well, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Obviously, for those
Mhm.
people, it is. I'm only just curious because I have a friend named Ruben Langdon who also does extra dimensional
Love
stuff.
Ruben.
He's doing a Lemurian thing on June
Hmm.
20th. I'm
Hmm.
wondering if Mount Shasta, if she's calling all of y'all to her.
Yeah, well, I was surprised that I was going back there this year. That was not what I was expecting to be doing. And it came together so quickly and so easily. So there's definitely a call that's happening, I think.
Yeah, there seems to be. And what is your understanding of her as far as the root chakra of the earth? Do you have any plugins to that?
I do. I mean, I have sensed that when I've been there, I definitely get a reset in that part of my being. And when I
Mhm.
plan to take people, they always have to work through some level of survival, some programming in order to say
Yes.
yes to the journey. So I definitely agree. But I also think it's balancing our crown in a way as well. It's opening kind of the above and the below space for us, as I think that any portal on our planet does.
Yeah, there's been a lot of Mount Shasta. I personally, when I went there, had a lot of ego triggers, man. It was definitely
Oh,
root
yeah.
chakra. I was defensive. We went there, we were arguing and we were a light worker group. It's like, what the? So it's a little intense, man. And you feel a little starry eyed when you're on that mountain. I mean, a little
Hmm.
stoned, like a little
Yeah.
colors are brighter and, you know, yeah, it's a little crazy. So
Yeah.
you're a
Yeah.
warrior.
It's definitely a place that I think calls forward things from deep inside of you that need to be looked at, both on the good and the bad side. And I think that's what Mother Earth is here to do for us, right? She invited us to be here at this time of infinite change.
Hmm.
And when we go and we sit in sacred connection with her in these sites that have been used for hundreds of thousands of years, generation after generation, we're remembering the truth of who we are, right? Which is that we are connected to the earth and that we came here for a reason to help with this process of ascension that we're moving through.
Mm. It's funny too. I mean, even it's interesting too when you say we go back. She's there for us. Those ancient sites. I went to in Mexico. I went to a site, one of the ruins, and the only thing that was takeaway was I felt the energy right away. So I haven't gone to an ancient site since I become a modern mystic.
Mm,
I had only gone, I'd seen things when I was closed down. So when I went there open, I felt the connection to Mother Earth was tied to that site. Like they had wired her energy in there. And B, it felt familiar. I felt like I'd
yeah,
been there before. And I
yeah.
wasn't sure if I'd been in the network before or I had been to Tulum before, but
Mm.
it was very familiar.
Yeah, I'm going to Mexico in June on a personal trip, so I'm hitting that one too.
Yeah. Okay. So we're just like passing each other in the sky. It's like we'll wave as we fly by each other.
Yeah, yeah.
So I personally feel a huge distinctive shift of energy between January through June and June through December. I
Hmm.
know the astrology behind it. I'm wondering what your third eye is seeing in that regard, as far as what difference am I seeing in your eyes?
Yeah, well, I can tell you, I wrote down the four themes. I'm just looking at them so I don't miss any of
No,
them.
go ahead.
So,
Look away.
yeah, so for June, the four that came in. So the first one is called subtle realignments. And
Mm,
so what I'm seeing is that, because we're kind of in this transition space and we're leading up to solstice, summer solstice for the northern hemisphere, we're kind of having this influx of light that's happening. Every choice that we make, whether it's a yes or a no, is super important right now. And it
mm,
doesn't mean that we need to be hyper focused and maniacal about it, but really what we're saying yes and no to, and when we're activating from the heart, we're kind of subtly realigning our energy field to be in alignment with these things that I think are going to come in the October, November, December timeframe when we really kick it up another notch at the end of the year, as we always seem to be doing. Every
yeah.
year it gets more intense, right? And so what we're doing now is aligning us for how we're going to go through that winter solstice in the back half of the year.
Okay.
So those choices are super important. And I don't think it's anything like we need to go out and change our whole life, right? Or break things down completely. I think it's the subtle choices. And if we do make a decision and we're like, oh, that wasn't in alignment, it's also bringing that awareness in to say, I'm not going to make that choice again, right? Kind of really bringing in some finality to making these choices that are self-sabotaging in nature. In May, we worked a lot on coping mechanisms and self-sabotaging patterns and kind of clearing out the need for that. So I
Hmm.
really feel like this subtle realignment energy is helping us to kind of continue to expand on that as well.
I just want to put
Um,
out there before we move on. Like I felt
yeah.
like in May I was invited to self sabotage many times. I was invited. I was like, oh, it's sort of like the devil showed up or whatever, like saying, you sure you don't want to like ruin it like we used to? But I also felt like, oh, this is actually the completion. It had to be presented one more time for me to say no. Is what
Yeah.
I felt.
Yeah, yeah. And when we come into that place of doing it not from forced willpower or shame or guilt, it's a whole
Right.
new vibration, right? We're able to really lock into what is our highest timeline in those moments. And then that change becomes lasting. And that's really what I'm seeing people working on. I've got people that I've been working with for years and they've been making changes. And then right now it's kind of like they're on a rocket ship. So that's
Yep.
really exciting to see.
It is an experience. Yeah.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. That was point one. I took you off course.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's okay. No, you're great. So the second one is following the signs. And
Mm.
as an aside for this one, it came up in session today, and I was like, oh yeah, there's that theme for June already coming in on May 31st. And it's this idea that, these subtle things that we're getting as signs from nature, as signs from the people in our life, not discounting them and celebrating them and trusting that there is a higher power at play that is kind of guiding us in a direction and allowing us to kind of rest in the heart instead of the mind. Because I think you said something in your update too about kind of getting out of the head and into the mind with these Gemini energy, or out of the head and into
Right
the
into the
heart with
heart.
these Gemini energies. And
Hmm.
I feel like as we're navigating and we're following the signs, we're kind of dropping into that state of trust a little bit more. And, when I was in Peru, I would voice something and then it would show up almost immediately. So I said, oh, I want to see an alpaca. And then we pull over and there's a guy with two baby alpacas.
Wow.
Or I want to see a rainbow, and I would turn the corner and there's a rainbow in the sky.
Huh.
And so, like, also this idea of the things that we're voicing and witnessing how they're coming into being and celebrating that and kind of celebrating the magic that we can have when we're in a state of flow. So I think that's kind of the second theme that I'm seeing.
I love it. Yeah. And spirit really gently guiding us with those signs, I think, to
Mhm.
the new timelines.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And can we allow those signs to be confirmation of the realignments that we're doing? So those first and those second themes kind of go together.
Yes, totally. Yeah. I
Mhm.
too was finding myself in instant manifestation, especially in Unite the Light and that sort of thing. I would be like, I wish I had a cup of coffee. Hey, you need some coffee? Like, it was so fast. I was like, I felt like I was just like one with the matrix. Like I would just imagine it would show up. It was pretty amazing. Maybe
Yeah. It's a
this must
nice
be what
feeling.
5D is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we really can embody that level of magic and we bring it, and so this is the Mount Shasta connection all the way down into our root chakra, right? When we
Okay.
can embody that awareness of what that magic feels like and know it to the deepest level of our being, then the things that we think are impossible in the physical landscape start to become a little bit more possible.
You just made me realize why I have to go back to Shasta
Sorry.
because I haven't brought it all the way down to my root chakra. My root chakra is still in the 1860s, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to do that root chakra work because it's all about embodiment. If we can understand these things and understand these ideas, but if we can't live them from our body, then the real change that we want to see manifested out in the world is going to be slow to happen, right? So as we're trying to manifest our own personal miracles every day, it's the embodiment of that all the way down in our root that makes the difference.
I need a root chakra canal. All right.
Mm.
The third.
So the third is a little less fun, I think. I guess it
Oh,
depends on how you look at it. It's called healing loss programs. So sometimes when we get into this place of flow and we're manifesting a new timeline, more often than not, we have a part of us, maybe it's a mental body aspect or an emotional aspect that says, okay, I want to have these things. I want to have all of this come into being, but what am I going to have to lose in order for it to manifest? And I don't know about you, but I have had so many up levelings and frequency where I had just a culling of so many relationships at once that there's a little bit of PTSD of, okay, I'm going to up level. I'm going to welcome this new thing into my life. And what's going to happen, right? Who am I going to lose? What's going to change? And if we get too locked into that fear programming, we can actually block the progress. And so
mm,
I'm feeling like we're going to go through a bit of a heart healing in June where we look at those losses, we look at any disappointments that have come along the way as we have up leveled in frequency and we've changed timelines and changed missions and expanded missions. And we're going to have to process any grief that's left over and kind of allow that grief as we're processing it to break our heart open to the next level, to say, you know what? I want this next thing in my life. And if it means that something's going to have to fall away in order to make space for that, I trust and I know that I'm supported. And I know that on some level, this is all working in my favor.
Yeah, I think I'm very self-aware about that point. In fact, to the point where a lot of times I know it's about to be over in a situation. I don't know if they know that or not, but the wizard in me can see it. And I also see like where their timeline is going, where my timeline is going, or I'm gonna have to let go of certain things that I enjoy in life, like that are keeping me from moving forward. So yeah, that's a hard one for Tauruses. We get really attached. We don't want to let go. I don't want to let go of I don't want to let go of the old one to hold on to the new one. I'm like, want them both.
Yeah. And we got to understand that we can make space. And I also think that, maybe the degree to which we have to experience that loss lessens the more we expand and the more we get in alignment. Because, the more I practice being in deep connection, I've just spent the last 5 months teaching a relating course. We're going into our last module in June. Wow. And we just did partnership. And one of the things I was telling them is like, when we get really clear on how we communicate and how we are in our authentic expression, our relationships just get deeper and deeper, and they kind of have a bit more staying power when we're activating from that level of authenticity. And so I do think at some point we don't have to go through that huge culling every time, because we're up leveling in our authentic expression each time. And we can't help but call new people into our life that are operating more from that authentic timeline. And, there was something that you said in your update too about, this is how I'm wording it, like, don't count anybody out. Like, grandma might go to yoga and you never thought she was going to go to yoga. My mother-in-law just started going to yoga. We didn't think she was ever going to do that. Right. And so it's not always the people that you think that are going to be the ones that you're going to have to let go of. So we also have to detach from thinking we know what's going to happen, because the mind likes to work out all that nervous system angst, right? And come up with all the worst case scenarios. So we have to come into our heart and just trust that it's all going to work out as it needs to.
Yeah. Well, I completely concur with that in the sense that I feel like the mind is currently programmed for all the shadow and everything we've been doing. So I think all of our programming is based on all of our karma and our heaviness. And so I feel like since we've now released a lot of that, which is emotional, energetic, I feel like our mind has to be reprogrammed. Therefore, we really can't trust what our mental patterns are right now. We just have to sort of watch them with interest, but sit back and be more of a voyeur of our thoughts rather than let them drive us. And I would say that's probably up until like September, October. I would give that really till Jupiter retrogrades in October 9th. Now that I'm thinking out loud, I concur.
Yeah. And I've been seeing, especially in the last week in my sessions with people, I'm doing a lot of work in balancing their left and their right brain. And so their masculine and feminine brain, and working on the space in the middle brain where there is kind of this rigidity that says that I can't rely on my intuitive knowing, or I have to just rely on my analytical knowing. So starting to harmonize those two aspects of our mental body and create a little bit more flexibility and fluidity. I've been working with clients on that too in the last couple of weeks.
Interesting. I wonder if that's Jupiter and Gemini. You have a fourth point, I think. Because otherwise I'm going to change the subject.
Fourth point, and this is the most important one for June. I think this is the one I'll be doing my healing circle on, which is living your dream.
Oh, so I love it. Yeah.
This is a good one, right? So this is...
She just said our magic word of the day!
This is
Cue the balloons!
This is embodying that, right, fully, and trusting, kind of, I guess, separating from the noise in the mental space and the distractions, and kind of getting a little laser focused on what it is that we want to be creating. And as we eliminate some of that noise, we're getting into greater and greater alignment, right? So all three of those other themes build into this fourth one, right? And when we're living our dream, it doesn't necessarily mean that our future vision of everything that we want has come into being, but we're treating each day in that moment that we're already there. Kind of we're allowing that to manifest in the now, even if things are still coming into being in the physical.
So walking the talk, basically. It's
Hmm.
not fake it till you make it. It's vibrationally holding the vibration until you see it stick.
Yeah, yeah. And that requires a lot of focus.
Oh,
You
sure it
know,
does.
our world is super distracting.
It
And there's so
is.
many things going on in the news and in other places, right, that want to pull us out of focus on that particular energy that's most in alignment for us. And so the way I've been wording it to people is following your highest excitement each moment, right? And
Yes.
just staying present in that as much as you can and trusting that the pieces are going to fall into place to get you to that next highest excitement in the next moment.
Totally, which we brand that as serious joy. But but energetically, I agree. I'm on the same page with you. Like I'm being told like live the dream right now. So I
Mhm.
am with like, I'm a Taurus. So I am with like travel plans and I am, I'm living the life I've always wanted right now. I'm not paying attention to money per se. It's not
Mhm.
about money. It's about quality for me, but still
Yeah.
it's like, I'm being told that go ahead and start. And I wonder if we are creating that timeline by doing it, or are we elevating to it? Do you have a theory about that?
Both.
Okay. All
I
right. It's
think
always both.
I think on the etheric plane, this is us living in new earth, right? Fifth dimensional frequency. And then as an individual, we're actively creating that in every moment and living into it. So I think they're happening concurrently. And I think some of the work with Mother Earth is that she's already living that vibration, right? She exists in that vibration. And so every time we drop into that frequency with her, we're kind of receiving codes from her about how we can do that and live our own personal new earth and how we want to manifest that out in the world.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Well, and this feels like the first time in my life I felt this sort of green light from the universe. What about you?
Yeah, I think I've had moments of it, but it seems to be getting easier and easier to hold it for longer periods of time.
Hmm.
It's very easy when I'm traveling and doing things that I enjoy to hold it, but can I hold that in the moment when I'm in session with somebody and they're talking about one of the most difficult things I've ever heard anybody talk about in trauma land, right?
Right.
Can I hold it in every moment? And can I see that extending into all the facets of my life? And can I call in more relationships with people who are also holding that frequency so we can celebrate it together? That's kind of been my experience this year. It's expanding in a new way.
Mm. So it is time. I mean, that was what my thought was, is that, as light workers, we sort of need to all collectively hold that and begin to hold hands a little bit. I'm
Yeah.
getting sort of instruction to collaborate, connect. I mean, that's why we started talking, you and I. I mean, I feel like it's not just the individual power amping up, but it's also the collaboration and the unity and the coming into a grid like formation around the world. Just what it feels like. That's one of the reasons why I'm feeling this call to travel. I feel like I'm gridding. My
Mm-hmm.
energy is connecting to these different cities and people in these cities. And like, are you getting a similar
Yeah.
sort of experience?
Yeah, well, my whole body is breaking out in chills because in June, my last module of New Earth Relating is community. And what I'm trying to plant as seeds with people, when we were in Peru, they call everybody family. And
Mm,
they look at the whole world as family. As soon as you come and visit them, you're now a part of their family. And I think that that's what we're evolving into. And there's been so much duality that we've had to work through. And it's going to be a ground up thing, a mission from the ground up where we activate that and we start to collaborate in that way of unity consciousness and start living it and walking it every day instead of just it being a concept that we're trying to get to.
totally. And we were feeling it at Unite the Light, to have 300 people in the room who are all on the same path was intoxicating, and
Hmm.
I had to come down.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. Like I felt it's like I felt the fall of Atlantis just going home like one more time. It's like
Yeah.
Jesus. But in that vibe, I was like, wow, I wonder if this is how it felt, in Atlantis, in Lemuria, when the earth was high vibration, the last stage of Aquarius. I wonder if this is what it was like. Do you have any insight into like the society that we are here creating together right now? Have you been told what this is?
I feel like we're taking threads from different time periods like Lemuria and Atlantis, but the guides have always been very clear with me that we're doing it in a way that it's never been done before. And so when we start trying to imagine like how our financial system is going to look and how our government system is going to look and these different power structures that have kind of been the backbone of the world, if you will, and the systems and structures, we can't really fathom what it's going to look like to hold those in unity consciousness because they've never existed in that frequency. And so it's not that we're going back to tribal and communal living in the way that maybe we did in those other times. We're going to take our technology with us. We're going to take our modern conveniences with us. We're going to take our way of living with us, but we're going to bring in this new frequency of unity consciousness. And so I think each of us embodying that in our individual expression and in our individual lives, we become little building blocks of this greater fabric of what the new earth is going to look like. And so my mission has been to empower each person to do that and trust that I'm moving the needle a little bit at a time. Every time I empower somebody to live that new earth, whatever it looks like for them, because I think it's a spectrum, then we're creating that from the ground up. And then the systems and structures that are not created in that way, that are maybe dualistic in nature, when we have an alternative to look towards, this thing over here isn't needed anymore. So it's not like going into a system and changing it from the inside out. It's creating something brand new that we can all turn to and say, yeah, I really want to expand this frequency, and there is an alternative. So, in the schooling system, in the medical system, I have clients that are just change makers that are bringing in brand new vibrations. And if I can empower them, then we're creating the new earth.
Do you see the old earth transforming or the earth separating? Like, that's one thing I can't see past. I can't figure out, are we here to heal the broken system, or are we here just to start a new one and let everyone fend for themselves?
So I see it happening at the same time.
Okay.
So let me see if I can explain. There's a frequency coming in, so let me just take a breath. So we have had experiences in a lot of timelines where there was change that came in and it disrupted everything and it threw everybody for a loop and it kind of created the downfall of society. We've had that in Atlantis. We had that in the Lemurian times. We've had it throughout history. What I see us doing now is trying to create this change and overlay it on top of what already exists. And as the new is coming into being, there's so much resonance and so much ease that people can't help but move in that direction at some point. And there will be people that are going to be in resistance to that, because that's the dualistic game, right? That's the way it happens. But it's a choice. And it's not that we're going to split timelines and there will be two different earths and then these people are just going to be somewhere else. I don't actually see it happening that way. I already am living a different timeline than a lot of the people in my neighborhood, right? Like if you have a different experience of reality than your neighbor, you're already living in a different timeline. We're already playing in this zone of separate timelines.
Okay.
We think it's going to be this crazy astronomical thing that's going to be so obvious. I think it's a lot more subtle than that.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, like when you look in the car and there's like someone fighting with his wife, you're like totally different timeline, totally different reality, but side by side driving down the car down the street. What about these solar flares that we've had recently? How do you see that light affecting our collective?
Yeah, so if we understand that the sun is a repository of information, right? It's data. It holds all of the experiences of creation and universal energies that we've had in this system. And the place in the, solar band as we're moving through the universe, basically, and we're moving into a new cycle, which is also a space in space. And we're being bathed by light that we haven't been bathed by before. And then these solar flares are coming in. We had an X flare, which was the first time in 20 years. I was all the way in Peru and missed the Aurora Borealis in North Carolina, of course, but that'll happen again, I think. And so we're getting bathed with this light and it's activating our solar center. And as that's happening, it's kind of breaking down and opening up new timelines, new ways of being for each and every one of us, because we're remembering energy and data that we haven't been able to have before as a collective. So, the other thing is like things like AI have come in, and that's a timeline shifter, right? I think that's part of what's coming in to help us shift into a state of welcoming and open contact with extraterrestrials at some point. So there's all these things that are happening at once, and the solar flares are just one piece of that puzzle, in my opinion.
Interesting. Yeah, I've heard that. So that it's a photon belt we're speaking to. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And does that photon belt come from the galactic center, in the center of the Milky Way?
Well, the one I'm speaking about is coming from there and from the sun. So we're kind of getting bombarded in both directions. So we've got the grand central sun, as they would say in universal energy terms. And then we've got our sun that we're all familiar with, that we see in the sky. And we're getting bathed by light from both directions. And as we're moving through, all of the cultures across the world have tracked these cycles, right? These cycles of transformation. And so the cycle that we're moving through, where we're moving into a higher frequency, isn't new, but the octave that we're moving into it through is different. So we might have had this cycle 200 and some thousand years ago, let's say. I don't know the exact math. And the way we experienced it then, we're going to experience it in a different way now, because we've got a different makeup of how the world exists. But this is something that we've predicted. Like, these are cycles and transitions that we know that we're going to go through, but the way we experience it, we can't always predict.
Right. It feels like, as I'm showing it in my third eye, it feels like these photons sort of awaken a sleeping awareness that we've had that's sort of been pinched off and asleep, subconscious, not available. And suddenly now they're sort of activated. They're coming to the surface. They're waking up out of hibernation is what it feels like.
Yeah.
And I've noticed, particularly since Pluto moved into Aquarius, a real awakening to Atlantis, Lemuria past lives. People tell me of so many clients emailing me saying, I'm having dreams of the island going down and us going into the sea. I'm like, You're okay. The Atlantean memories are starting to awaken again. I think from that photon. But I agree with you that the earth never repeats itself, right? Like we're going to be in a whole new perspective.
Yeah. And even those Atlantean timelines, we've got to dismantle those traumas, right?
Yeah.
So when we get bathed by this light, and we're getting bathed with basically memories, right? Memories and rememberings, it's activating those things inside of us that would be blockers to us adopting a higher timeline, right? Because I don't believe that we're going to go through a cataclysm in order to get there. I think when channels might be seeing that, they're tapping into timelines that we're shedding and that we're culling, right? That we've experienced before. But if they don't get activated, then we could repeat it, right? So we've got to activate that memory inside of us so that we can clear the trauma, so that we can choose a new and different future.
We declare the trauma regardless, like it's not healthy. It has to happen. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting. It seems like, so I like what you said there. You said we don't have to go through a calamity to get there.
No, I don't believe we do. No,
I don't feel like we do either.
I think that's a lot of ancestral energy that we're clearing too. This week especially, there has been such a focus on these ancestral war patterns. I've been working with clients on loops that they're in with neighbors, or they're in a legal battle, and it's an echo of what their ancestors experienced in wartime and being in battle with other humans. And we're really clearing a lot of that right now, so that I think that we can let go of that frequency as a collective, so that we can move beyond that paradigm.
It's true. And I don't want to, how do I put this? It's like, there are wars going on right now that are atrocious, but I'm honestly feeling very positive about it, even though there are people who are dying and it's horrible that they're suffering. Welcome to the party. I did that in the 1800s. I did that in the 1500s. Like, to me, I see like no one gets out of it. So when I see people going through atrocity like that, I'm like, I know it's tough, buddy. I did that in the 500s, so, but it does feel like, although there's all this attention for war and Ukraine and all this stuff, it feels like a big nothing burger. I mean, we want people to be happy and not in hell. I mean, I'm not saying that, but it just doesn't have the boo response. Like, it used to make me really throw me off and freak me out. Now I'm like, we always fight.
We have to face it, right? We have to face that energy. It has to get triggered somehow. And certainly none of us would want it to get triggered in the way that it is, right? Where we're actually having to experience that anywhere on this planet. But I do see that as we're working through this collective shadow, because I really think that um, that eclipse, man, that we went through
In
was it
April?
talk about bringing, I mean, especially in my Taurian 40th birthday year, it was a big one for me, but
Mm.
it brought so many things to the surface that we had kind of turned a blind eye to, right? That we thought, oh, this isn't going to happen again. This isn't a thing. And it's resurfacing, and it's going to keep resurfacing until we as a collective say this isn't what we're standing for anymore. I don't want to be in this battle. I don't want to be killing, I don't want to see killing on this planet. I don't want to see this happening anymore. But if we're seeing that battle energy in our own life in any way, we can't ignore it.
Right.
And it's not about matching that frequency and dropping into the dirt with the person that you're in battle with. You still need to hold that unity consciousness, but you got to take care of yourself, and you got to set those boundaries. And on an energetic plane, really set a boundary with this energy of toxicity that's kind of claiming our energy force and our vitality, and saying, I'm not going to take that anymore.
Yeah. I've had enough.
Yeah.
And I see people waking up too. I mean, I think there's a real push for us to go down those old patterns, but it's
Mhm.
so played out now.
Yeah.
It's like it's like boo. It's like boo what? Like it's like we're not scared anymore.
Yeah.
What do you see happening? I mean, I know we can't predict what's going to happen, but I'm kind of getting this feeling lately. I think there's been a very strong, let's say, force on the planet that wanted to destroy things.
Hmm. Yep.
And I feel like there's a strong force on the planet that wants to, to preserve things
Hmm.
and to
Hmm.
take us to a higher level. And there's people in the middle that are just like with a Coke trying to figure out which way they should go.
Yeah.
I was for a long time concerned about the people who want to destroy things. Like it was something that took a lot of time and energy out of my consciousness. Too much,
Yeah.
really. But I would say like, and things don't look particularly good, right? There's still a lot of warfare going on, lawfare going on, all sorts of like people are fighting for power.
Yeah.
But just in the last like month or so, it feels like to me that's just going to die out. It feels like it's just going to die out. Like the side of the human force that wants to destroy things. I'm not saying completely die out. It
Yeah.
just feels like it was really just a spook to get us to go in the light. I don't know. Do you see in your third eye any conflict around this election without getting political? I'm just talking spiritual here.
Hmm. Well, I guess before I say that, let me say what I see as a reflection of internally that we work on. Like, when you're clearing something and trying to heal something that isn't serving you anymore, at some point you realize, I'm not repeating this pattern anymore. I'm done with this, right? And there's a
Mhm.
finality to it, and there's a holistic shift that happens in your being. And I think that that's where we're getting to with some of these light versus dark victim villain stories, right? Like
Okay.
it's such a story that's been played out over and over again, and if we're no longer giving power to it or saying that that's the way we want to show up in the world, then we're turning away from that story, and we're creating a new reality. And so with the election, I see, okay, do we want to go back and repeat this pattern or this pattern? And honestly, whatever happens at the top of the house is going to be a repeat of a pattern that's already happened over and over and over and over again. I don't believe personally that we're going to see some kind of astronomical change come in at a, top of the house level through government or finance or any of those things that's going to shake the world loose. I think that it's going to be very subtle, and it's going to happen from the ground up. So, regardless of which way our election goes in the United States, we've played both of those stories out, right? And it's going to maybe take us all getting almost numb to that, or a realization that this is never going to change, for us to start actually taking action in a different way. So that's kind of where I am with it. I don't want to say that's happening in a timeline that I'm not a part of, because obviously I exist in this human reality and I'm in the United States.
Hmm.
But I don't spend a lot of time trying to figure out what's going to happen up there, because it feels irrelevant to the reality that I'm creating and the way that I'm trying to live my life. And I think the more people that live from that place of truth, the easier it's going to be for us to create the change that we want to see.
Yeah, I have a sense that it'll be more of the same.
Mm-hmm.
And that for me, this will be the final time I care. Like, that's it. This is the final time I'm going to care. So if there's not a cool change this next election, I'm just going to start a new America on my own. I'm done.
I think there's a lot of humans at that point. And, I work with people all over the world. I work with people in all kinds of different demographics. And this is not just happening in the United States, right? There is definitely this feeling of these people are disconnected from the reality that I'm trying to create. And if I spend my time trying to create change there, I don't know that it's going to be effective. So I have to find another way. And that makes me feel good because I know that there are so many brilliant and amazing people on this planet, and there are so many things that we could solve if we just shifted our focus. And so that gives me a lot of hope.
That gives me hope too. And I concur. It feels like, I mean, the feeling we had at Unite the Light was just like, okay, this is what life is. What we've been living isn't, and there's this realization there's a whole nother reality out there. There's a whole nother world out there, sort of waking up from, where we've been brainwashed by media and whatnot, and just realizing like, okay, I may have followed for the first chapter, worried about all this, but I'm done worrying now. We're done.
Yeah. Well, that's what they want, right? They want to be worried about all these things because it ties up our energy and it takes us out of that focus of living our personal dream and creating change that we want to see in the world. So I think June is a month for us to really refocus and cut away a lot of that noise. And some of it may not be political. It might be noise in your personal life, right? Where there's distracting energies coming in and you just have to just set a line in the sand and say, that's not what I'm going to show up for anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Shift the focus and just choosing what you put your time and your thoughts into ultimately.
Yeah. It's super important.
I've also seen, what about my Summer of Love prediction? Have you seen anyone, have you seen a mass hookup going on?
Well, I just taught a whole class.
You don't have to agree with me just because you're on the show.
I just taught a whole class on part, and it was interesting. I was watching your throat chakra while you were in your earlier segment, and I was like, yeah, this throat chakra stuff is here this week. And we did a class on conscious communication, and I watched all these light bulbs go off for everybody in that class about how they have a lot more power to shift their frequency and shift what they're calling into their life than they thought. Because I think sometimes with relationships and love and partnership, we have this belief that we're just going to take what comes at us and we don't have a lot of power to call that in, but yet we believe we can manifest a new car, right? It's no different. So I do see that in the back half of the year, we're going to go through kind of a relationship rebirth, I think. And it's in my astrology too, in my chart, that I'm going to go through that. So I guess that's why I taught a whole class for the first 6 months of the year on it. But I do think that we're going to be bringing some new energy in our relationship space as we move into the summer.
Okay, yeah, it feels like, it makes logical sense because we have, faced a lot of shadow. Neptune's about to leave Pisces, so that spiritual, the spiritual karma is over. And I also feel like, the partnerships we've had up until now are really based on this awakening. And so, now that we've started to awaken, I think there's another slew of relationships that are waiting for us. I'm looking forward to it. I think, even the bonding and like right now, just having you here is great.
Yeah, we're making all kinds of new connections, and as we, drop into that state of higher expression, it's just going to keep expanding, I think.
Indeed. Where do you, I haven't talked to you about this. I don't know if we talked about it the first time, but I've had a lot of people on this show. There seems to be a consensus that the world is going to go through the most challenge between late 2026 and 2027. Have you had any kind of predictions like that, or do you just keep your nose down to the year ahead of you?
No, I don't know if I've tuned into that so much. I do feel like 2025 is going to be a rocket ship year to bring in some things that we've been waiting and trying to anchor for the last 10 or 12 years. And if I look at that type of energy coming in, what that the next couple of years, we would be doing the cleanup to clear away the things that have changed, right? That are not serving. So it kind of makes sense. I haven't really tuned into that particular time frame so much, but when I look at next year, I can see what's going to come in and how many things are going to land for so many people. And yeah, it makes sense that there would be kind of in 2026 and 2027.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I agree. I have consensus that next year is a rocket ship. It's a 9 year. So nine's like the completion and also action and change and shift. Of course, after we've been through as well. So it makes sense that that alone is going to be the disruptor. So you see it more the fact that we're buckling and shifting to the disruption of 2025 is what makes sense to you.
Yeah, I always relate everything back to my personal process and how I move through things and see that everything that, we're moving through in a collective is a reflection of my own microcosm and vice versa. And when I look at times of great change for me, the years after are like rebuilding years where new things are coming in place to build upon that foundation that changed astronomically, right? So, I think that's probably what's going to happen for the planet too, because we're all reflections of the same, right?
And you're galactic, right? If I'm not mistaken, you're in contact with other civilizations.
Yeah, I work with the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, the Lyrans, the Syrians. Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot. And so I'm assuming that your opinion is the consensus of them as well, that the Earth is really about to break free from a cycle we've been in and move towards a higher frequency we've ever been. Is that the consensus?
Yeah,
Because I've heard other stories that we're still fighting the draconians or something.
I will say from their perspective, we've already made the shift. So
okay.
they look at it in a different, so they're coming in now. So the way they would like to explain it is that they see that we've already made the turn and that we're all just living that into our physical reality now. So they see things on the energy plane first. The energetic template of the transformation that we are moving through has already landed. And so we're now just seeing the things into the physical. And so they've already been celebrating, right? They started celebrating a long time ago because there were certain, different choice points that we've moved through, the pandemic being one of them, where we made certain choices that allowed us to break through to that next frequency band. And they're trusting that because we're moving through this process, everything that's happening here in this experiment of human collective consciousness is sending a ripple effect into their collective as well. And so every time we make a new choice point, they're kind of looking at us and saying, wow, look at how they navigated that while they're in a physical body. We don't have physical bodies. What could we do? Right. So we're informing each other, even if it's not a conscious conversation for most people.
Very interesting. Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that the other dimensions get high off of our fumes.
Yeah.
That we're all connected. Yeah. Like nuclear weapons, for instance, I guess I've heard are very damaging to other realities.
Of course.
Which is why apparently UFOs. Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime we drop into affirming duality, which is what this, human experience on this planet has been about, there's a ripple effect that goes out into the universe. And so they can't control what we're doing, but they are sending, like right in my heart right now, I can feel the unconditional love and support that is always there. And so one of the people that people are really struggling with right now is just like there's a pervasive loneliness that's running in the background. And what I see with our star brothers and sisters is that they're coming in and they're trying to be there as this supportive energy to let us know that we're not alone as we're moving through this transition. And that in those moments where we're feeling like we don't know if we can do it, that we can call on them and they can kind of infuse us with that resiliency and that strength and that unconditional love that we need to keep going forward. But we have to ask. We have to call on them.
We have to call them and ask. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you feel that we're on a solid timeline for, them making a formal appearance in our lifetime?
Oh yeah, that we've already passed the points of that, that's already happening, and it's happening in small pockets already. And what they were telling me is that when AI it shift into such a higher octave of what's possible of how we can solve problems that
Oh, wow.
yeah, that they really like the technology that they would bring to us and the things that they would help us deal with on our planet. They've kind of been not denied bringing that forward. There's been some powers that have been keeping that at bay. When AI came in, and it came in such an open way, open AI, that's what it's called, right? The person who brought
Oh,
it
wow.
forward is
Yeah.
coming from that open frequency. If you see his interviews, like his intention of this was going to be for all. Like he brought in a template that said open contact for everybody. Right. So it's just really interesting because our dance in past timelines in Atlantis with technology wasn't always great. It actually
Mm-hmm.
created a lot of, downfalls and pitfalls and cataclysms. And the way that
Mm-hmm.
the AI came in this time in this open source, open contact kind of way is a template for open contact with the extraterrestrials as well, I think.
Oh, wow. That's fascinating. And
Mhm.
I personally believe Elon is a Syrian. So,
Yeah,
um,
we've got a lot of helpers that are already here, and some that are working for the other side. But that's duality, right? We're always going to have both sides, and that's a game that is played even in the higher realms. It's just they play it a little differently than we do.
yeah, totally. Yeah, I like that. The open, it's very interesting how that's come to be. And are you a person? I also don't feel like AI is going to lead to the Earth's destruction. Again, all these
Been there, done that. Got the
Atlantis.
T-shirt. We've done it
Yeah,
before.
exactly.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I came to realize, I don't know where it was. It was somewhere in the last 6 to 8 weeks reflection of, oh, these have just all been fears in my mind. These have not been real possibilities because I wasn't willing to put the energy into it. Right. But it's funny how we sit there dealing with our trauma, right?
Mhm.
Going there.
Well, and the mental body is programmed to react to what the nervous system is picking up on. And when there's change coming, newness coming, the nervous system doesn't know the difference. And so the mind is going to make up a lot of stories. And the stories that
Mm,
we have that are most attractive are ones that we've experienced in other lifetimes. And so the mind's always going to come
uh-huh.
back to that path of least resistance of how it's working that energy out. And so we have to say, okay, yeah, I've already experienced that in this timeline and in this lifetime, and I'm not choosing that this time, right? And so it's the intention that we put behind things that is super important.
Yeah, totally. And that's really what the spiritual work is just segregating that off as a different timeline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, yeah, how does the 12th dimension play into this? You're one of the only people I know that speaks to the 12th dimension.
So when I channel the 12th dimension, it's kind of like zooming out of all of the duality and coming as close to that place of unity consciousness as you can get without returning to source. And so the reason why I bring that collective forward when I'm teaching classes and working with clients is because I always want to bring in the highest perspective possible to give people the most ability to zoom out in a neutral way to the traumas and the things that they're going through. So I think that when we are bringing in that frequency, it's very hard to hold as your everyday because it's so expanded and so,
Mm,
unity focused. But when we can bring that in and say, hey, give me some perspective or help me to work through this conflict that I'm at with someone in a new way and bring in some neutrality, that's, I think, what it's coming onto this planet for. And, when the creator beings or the 12th dimensional beings come in, sometimes I have to translate what they're saying, which is so unity based, into, okay, what does that mean for us humans? Because their perspective
mhm.
is so close to source and so expanded. But my ability to connect with that has given me so much comfort that I can connect the dots for things that are happening in my life and work through the lessons in a much more neutral way. And that's why I like to channel them and bring them forward.
Got you. Just like a pure white, positive, you know, 90,000 foot up perspective,
Yeah.
way
And
away
being
from the
able to
division.
see how all of the pieces interact together and being able to just kind of view the world from that perspective has helped me so much in just supporting people that are really, really deep in trauma and really deep in the duality, and being able to hold that compassion without feeling responsible for transmuting that in my body, which is what I did for so many years, right, as an empath. And so it's, when the creator beings come in, there's this pure frequency of divine love that, I just wish everybody could experience that in their heart space at least once and know it as truth, because it would change their whole perspective of how they operate on the planet.
Yeah, totally. If you only knew.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I look at just the heaven perspective. Maybe I'm feeling the 12th dimension when I call it the heaven perspective, but I can feel like none of this really matters. It's all a lesson, to learn and experience who we are.
Yeah.
We have someone asking if you can channel tonight. I don't know what that means specifically to you. I don't know if you're open to that.
Yeah, well, they're already
coming
in. No, they're already coming in. So
okay.
If everybody wants to just take a moment, take a breath.
And let's do it.
And open your hearts. And the way that they would like to help you to experience their frequency is by you bringing forward something that is important to you that helps you to connect with the frequency of unconditional love. It can be a being in your life. It could be a place. They're just wanting everyone to drop into something that already represents that unity for them, and bring that memory, bring that awareness forward. And then imagine that as you can bring that feeling in, that it's opening your center channel, and that you can take a deep breath and you can send a taproot down into the earth and ground deeply into Pachamama, and be in connection with her, and be in connection with the unity consciousness here. We are all one, and that she invited us all to be here at this time, and that she loves us unconditionally. And if they can drop their roots deep into the earth, then they can also grow their branches of their tree and open up their crown and just begin to welcome in the light. And light may mean different things to each of you. Maybe it's a connection to God, to Creator, to the angelic realm, to your ancestors. But they, as the creator beings, as the 12th dimensional beings, exist as the tapestry of unity consciousness that connects all things. And so when you open to this light, you're opening to this tapestry of connection, this tapestry of unity. And just imagine bringing that into your body and breathing deeply into that. And if there's something that's heavy in your heart, or something that you're struggling with, or maybe an intention of something you want to create and you're not sure what the next step is, the invitation, this is one of their favorite things to do with people, is to envision an altar out in front of you, a sacred altar that you've created, and place that worry, that intention, that desire. Allow source energy, unity consciousness, light to just come on the altar and activate that frequency, activate that actively. And from the outside in, just witness this happening in front of you. Whatever that intention is, whatever that desire is, whatever needs to be healed, just witness it as if it's already happening, like you're watching a movie. And then begin to allow your heart in present time to become in alignment with you. Imagining that you can reach out, grab that information, that wisdom, that clarity, that light off of that altar, and bringing it back into the body, activating that as your truth in this now moment, and affirming, I am.
Oh, yeah.
And taking a nice deep breath. And just gently opening your eyes.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Quite cleansing.
Yeah.
Cleanses the spiritual palate. So what's next for you? I mean, we can't buy tickets to Shasta. We'll just have to watch the pictures that come back. You're offering our audience a little discount on something, 10% off. You want a picture?
Yeah. So I have a healing circle on June 12th. So that will be focused on the themes of June, but specifically living your dream. And so it's already sliding scale, but I'm offering Serious Joy members $10 off of that, so they can join for as low as $15. And I'll bring through some teachings. bring through some teachings and an activation. And so they can kind of get a little taste of my work. I'm booking out, I think, into September right now for sessions, but you can hop on my calendar for a session. Follow me on YouTube. I do energy updates and videos every week. And yeah, just get connected and maybe get on our newsletter for any sacred trips and adventures we might be going on next year. I think we'll be doing 4 total next year. So,
wow.
yeah.
That's amazing. Well,
Yeah.
I'm so grateful to know you. Her websites are zenwithinacademy.com and newearthnowschool.com,
Yep.
or you do the QR code here on the front. Katie is a friend of the show, and we're going to have to hang out in person someday. We might shift the fault line if we do that, but it'll be great.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thanks for coming, and stay backstage for a minute so we can catch up on a couple things.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you, Katie.
Thanks.
Brilliant. Yay. That was fun. I don't know for you, but she was freezing for me backstage. Her video kept freezing. I don't know. Something's going on with the internet. If that happened for you too, sorry. We didn't want that to happen, but I just kept the conversation going, of course. First and foremost, folks, Unite the Light. Let's co-create. We have now streaming tickets available at unitethelight.love. You'll have access to our social network, and you'll also be able to rub elbows with all of us. Eventually, I'm going to try to get every light worker I can into that social network so we can have our own little community of light. It's really about that community now. And of course, we'll have our next event in Nashville next year, but you might want to see the keys, my keynotes from different people, them telling you about what they're going to be doing this year and interacting with other light workers. That's at unitethelight.love. I hope to see you there. Reach out and send me a message if you join. Secondly, if I'm not on the air Fridays, I'm on the air Mondays. LOL, Leading Out Loud is doing so well right now. We're having a blast. It is this spiritual talk show with my friend Chris Reck, Scott Cruz, and Devin Dewar, my friends. And next Monday, we'll be live. We're going to be talking about the summer of love, and we're really excited because we've got a new format where we're just getting comfortable with ourselves. And we're going to talk about a lot of what we're seeing when it comes to relationships. We're going to talk about the 5 signs we think they're going to have the best love in the summer of love. We're going to talk about the other signs who are going to have a harder time, and we're going to give some pointers on what we see. What is a twin flame? What is a soulmate? These questions around love. Well, we are all going to be talking about that together. You can watch live on any of our platforms, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, or at the LOL Leading Out Loud YouTube channel. Then we move on to Serious Joy. Serious Joy is your spiritual personal guide to success in discovering your life's purpose. Don't live stagnant. Embrace this moment in human history and allow us to coach you along the way. SeriousJoy.com is about to launch a new version of our site. Last week, we did the Golden Mega Address, the Golden Mega Monthly, where I went into it was this week, actually, I say last week, but that is now live. You can learn about what this month of June is going to be about. This week, we have Angel Intervention with Devin Dewar and Heather Exposito. 3 of our subscribers come on camera, and Heather and Devin sort of tag team from an angel and a astrology perspective. It's a great time, actually, to sort of just get a new perspective on life. And these 2 gals are perfect. That is live this Wednesday, June 5th at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively at SeriousJoy.com. SeriousJoy.com will be going through a facelift this month. We're going to have a limited, some of our services will be somewhat limited as we're now moving to a new platform, probably on or around June 15th, by the way. So we're looking forward to making that change with all of you. As always, I like to say sharing is caring. The best thing you can do to help us is just to share our show with other people. You don't have to share the full 3 hours. You can share one of the horoscopes that we have that we go live with on Tuesdays. We have tons of shorts. We have shorts from LOL. The only way we're going to spread the light is by spreading it. So if you please share us with your friends and family that you trust, we are grateful in advance. Our Facebook group is called SeriousJoy.club. It's available at SeriousJoy.club. You can come hang out with us. You can advertise your spiritual businesses. And you can see what I'm doing in the world. Whenever I'm posting personal pictures, it's at SeriousJoy.club. If you want to follow us on social media, you can go to seriousjoy.social. That's a link tree to everything. And if you'd rather listen instead of watch, we're on Spotify, Stitcher, and Apple Podcasts. All right, friends, I want to do a special thanks to our producer, Noel Way, our casting coordinator, Mara Moon, our director, Sarah Lineman, my teaching staff, Daiki Okamoto, Robbie Hunt, Kristen Ryder, Devin Dewar, Joe Zamek, Gwen English, and Heather Exposito. We're missing Daiki there. We're going to put we have some new photos out there. And to all of our super friends who come week after week to chat with us. My soul brother, Daryl Blankenship. I saw you hiding quietly in the corner. Neptune Girl, always a pleasure. Jamar, Christine Kelly, Sydney, and always Iggy. Neat too, I did see you. Our super friends Sydney, Princess Coffee Bean, Jill Louise, Margot Malia. So nice meeting you, Margot. Lori Ship, Nikki Anderson, Libra and Lauren, and Experimental Elemental. And of course, Erica. It's always a pleasure. All right, friends, that's all we have for this fabulous week. Have a good new moon. Enjoy Jupiter in Gemini. And when I come back next week, I will be in love with myself, and I hope to feel you in love with yourself too. Until then, I love you. Live, love, be.